called in
to Bucks and Brews, you might hear something
you can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use
smarts of these
because
stuff.
they know the brews.
And they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, because shit's not funny.
Save yourself some
Beer money. Bucks
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks and brews.
brews.
Bucks and Brews.
Welcome back to Bucks and Brews. Nick, this is my favorite episode of the year.
It's one of my favorites as well.
Baseball episode 2024, and we have guests in studio. We will start with the person right next to you, the great Professor David Seawick.
Hello, I am here indeed.
Good to have you again, my friend.
Good to be here. Thank
I
you.
think him and I are fighting for who has like the longest hair right now.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
absolutely love
There's a good competition going there
Man,
for sure.
Like he's
I mean, he has
killing
way
me.
more on top, though.
Shut up, assholes.
And for those of you listening, you can hear the eye candy down there, Mr. Michael Benson.
Finally, the eye candy has come back to Bucks and Brews.
Yes, he has. So I want to take care of some business before we taste this new beer of ours, Nick.
Okay.
Somebody here is turning 50 this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's an old man.
And it's not me.
And the first thing he said when he walked in is, how the fuck come you get to wear your shirt and I don't get mine until my birthday? So I brought it. There's something else in here for you too, my friend. Happy birthday.
Oh.
I wanted to do it on air.
well.
One
happy
thing's
birthday.
breakable, be careful.
Okay. Oh,
And it might be on the actual day of my birthday.
is that a Mike-sized shot glass?
It is.
All right, I
I
like
wasted
that.
a tipsy that goes well with the problem is the stuff that I buy. Yeah.
You will not drink in that. Yes, absolutely. Well, you can sip out of the shot glass. And then now you have your Pride jersey as well, my
All right,
friend.
that's
Awesome.
good.
I didn't get a Pride jersey.
You did not.
Losers.
I mean, you're a Tigers fan, so.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah.
So,
So am I.
Today,
Yes.
as every time, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We love doing this episode more than we care to admit sometimes.
I mean, I'll admit it.
But David, since you're the one starting us out, what are we drinking?
Michael has it down there. It is a Kentucky tangerine cream ale.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And I have not tasted it yet. Let's see.
me neither. I was told I had to wait.
That tangerine is right up front.
Yeah,
It really does. You really get the tangerine.
That's,
lot of
that's an orange creamsicle.
I like it. Nick does not.
This is why Nick does not drink this.
After that, I have same brewery, a vanilla barrel cream ale.
Mm,
And then if I feel like it, a New Holland Ichabod pumpkin ale.
No, all right.
right.
Nick, you are splurging today.
Yeah, so I was thinking about it on my way here. I was like, you know how when Warren Buffett, like when the stock market's low, he just gets a sausage McMuffin.
Yeah.
Right. And then if it's higher, he gets a sausage, egg and cheese McMuffin. And then if it's really good, right, he'll add an orange juice or whatever. Well, I'm like, man, this is one of my favorite episodes. I do love Bud Light. It's what I drink 90% of the time on this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I splurged and I got the Bud Light Platinum, which when I spoil myself on not like real beer,
Yeah.
is it
I like how you add that in. I'm not real beer.
Not real beer.
Bud Light Platinum is probably one of my favorite. It really, like, honestly, it's just a really good beer. It's Bud Light, but smooth.
Yeah.
It has good flavor.
Not real beer.
Not something that's gonna, hit the taste
Cost
buds.
effective.
Honestly, it was $1 more than the other stuff. And
Cost
so it's like,
effective.
yeah, it was-
Might as well.
yeah, for an extra buck, I'll support, and hopefully this puts me one step closer to getting sponsored by them.
I mean, we're always one step closer because
Yeah.
we couldn't get one step further.
Well,
I don't see.
that's a good point.
I don't know if we can get any farther away.
I don't
Like, I can't wait. Like, my Nationals jersey one year is going to just have Bud Light all over this son of a bitch.
I
right?
mean,
I
I'll
want to
take
look
it.
like a NASCAR car out there, just
Yep.
this big body. Boom, Anheuser-Busch, right? Bud Light Blue. Like, I will rock the shit out of it. Like, this is what I want in my life.
Can I break
Absolutely.
slightly bad news to you about your ambitions with Anheuser-Busch?
Go on.
You may already be aware of this. It is not, and it has not been for many years, an American company.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
Swiss.
That's okay with me, you know, because everybody has to sell for a price,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of them for selling and doing what but they kept, you know, their production here in the US.
Yeah.
They've done all, just somebody else makes the money at top, and you know, unlike David, I don't care who makes the money at top.
I do.
So, but
I'd rather have it be some Swiss guy than, you know, some of
Elon
those
Musk.
Yeah, there you go.
zillionaires.
Seriously.
There you go.
We have been thrown for a loop today.
I was surprised, like I was taken back.
Mr. Seawick, you are not drinking City of Lansing tap water.
Yep, I know. It's hard to believe, but I am actually drinking a can of Red Bull, sugar-free Red Bull. Real exciting, you know.
Mind you, this can is like half the size of my hand.
Wow.
It is a tiny can.
I mean, Red Bull is always that size.
Yes,
It's 250 milliliters, so that's 8.4 fluid ounces according to the can. And hey, you know what? Lots of caffeine in there. I had to drive all the way over here from Lansing.
Yeah.
Imagine the hardship of
Yeah.
that, you know.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
And that really just wore me out. So I got to get a shot of energy in me.
Could you imagine Andre the Giant holding that can? It's like the size of
Well,
a big
see, it's kind of a trick, right? It makes me actually look like a tall, like a normal size person, a normal size man if I hold one of these. So hey, there you go.
It's sitting next to you.
For those of you that have not had the pleasure of meeting me in person, I'm not gifted in height, so
Or
that's-
size.
or size, generally speaking. So
Look, I'm looking at the screen right now, and there's just my massive ass body taking up this screen, and just you looks like a pencil.
Oh, there you go.
Say.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
And Mr. Eye Candy, what do you got down there?
Let's see, I've got a root beer I pulled out of the fridge. It's
Okay.
actually full sugar.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, it started with City of Portage tap water, but I did go fill it up with the bottled water from downstairs.
Correct.
because I needed more water.
Are you doing a no drinking kick right now?
No, I just wasn't planning on drinking this morning.
I was told I had to.
I asked you if you
Well,
were.
You were. Okay.
Thursday, I left here and went to the bar.
Yeah.
And I didn't drink on our podcast. But I
Right.
was like, oh no, that went out the window. Just and I was like, man, no, I feel bad I didn't drink the podcast.
Literally, we start the podcast on Thursday. I'm like, "Are you drinking Saturday?" And he goes, "Well, hell yeah, I am." I'm like, "All right, then I'll bring a couple." And he's like, "I got beer here, right?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Do you want some?" And he's like, "No, I should not drink until Saturday." And then left here and went and drank
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then, well, I told you I wanted to get some nice beers for today, and I had this whole play. I have a gift card to a local place that was given to me for one of my coaching
Yeah.
gifts. And well, come to find out, you know, there's no liquor store, you know, a high-end liquor store around here. I don't know how you would call that, but like for us, it's like the Schuler's or mine's to the Copper Vine, which I stop at. Those places aren't for alcoholics, right? They're for later alcohol.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't stop at these places at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right? I was like, oh, and I Google and I
I
was
mean,
like,
that's
oh,
kind of a Granville thing too, because you can't buy liquor in Granville before like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
in the
that's
morning.
because you
You-
guys are
you-
over here in West Michigan.
Bible
land.
Belt,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Kalamazoo, it's 7.
well, everybody's
Well, seven
everybody's
might-
7,
State
but like
law is 7.
Sundays you can't do it until noon.
Where do you
Um,
live? I can do it here.
I can do it in where I live. I can Granville. I can't.
Now, Michigan
Yeah.
still, the law is still, you're not supposed to be able to buy alcohol at all in Michigan until noon.
No,
Oh, no, you
7
can do
a.m.
it now, yeah.
That,
It's
that
Sundays,
changed a
yeah.
while ago.
yeah. So
Ottawa County, though, well,
Yeah.
Michigan does still have local options. So
Yeah.
Ottawa County until quite recently,
Yeah.
no Sunday sales.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh no, trust me. I go there on Sundays quite often and pick things up, especially in the summer. And then they ask me if I want a bag, and I said I can't drink it out of the bag on my way home. And it's like the looks that I get constantly, and I'm like, geez, Louise, you guys need to like take a chill for 2 seconds.
I know.
But no, I say I know we have a crap ton of things to talk about today. Can we just have a moment for Pete Rose and still not getting the Hall of Fame because they're just going to throw this Shohei Ohtani thing under the bus and be
Oh,
like,
we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani.
Oh yeah.
"Say,
Yeah, we have to talk about that. We have to talk about Pete Rose.
dude,
I think.
he's getting so screwed right now because
I
He-
don't know.
Part of it's because he's an asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's screwing himself.
He-
if
he
he,
really
if he's
is.
getting screwed, he's his own worst enemy.
but I love the guy, okay? Because he comes out and he's like, you know, if I would have had an interpreter, I'd be in the Hall of Fame right now. I'm like, dude, if anybody has a fall guy, right? All I need is a fall guy.
It's a
And
great joke.
Not
It's a great joke.
enough out there to know what has happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. It's your interpreter's taking $4 million and you don't like that's when you know you have fuck you money, right?
But even
When somebody
then,
takes $4 million and
Yeah,
you don't
it's
fucking
like someone
realize it.
taking $4 from you. You wouldn't know.
But I check my account. I mean, granted, if it was out of my pocket, if my daughter
Right.
took money, I'd,
Right.
yeah, I
You would have no idea.
Yeah.
What's in your pocket right now?
I have a $100 bill.
Okay.
That's it.
But a lot of times you
Oh,
don't know what's in there.
No. I mean, when it comes to cash, I don't track that. It just
I
happens.
mean, I've been to your house. Sometimes there's just money laying on the fucking
but
table.
even then,
There is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
even if it comes
I'll
out,
tell you where Nick lives.
Okay, good.
These
That's
are
what I
all-
want to know.
it comes out that Otani's been the one betting. If he hasn't bet on baseball, who gives a shit?
That's it. That is the absolute fundamental difference between what Otani is experiencing right now and what happened to Pete Rose.
Mhm.
Actually, there's two fundamental differences. One, we don't know for sure if Otani was actually gambling on a game.
Correct.
Okay. And if he wasn't, and if it was his, interpreter, then this is not at all comparable to Pete Rose. And then the second distinction is, okay, if he was betting on the game, Pete Rose bet against the team he was managing.
I
and
thought he
won
bet-
for it,
I thought he bet on the team he was managing.
on it.
Yeah.
He said, I'd never bet against Cincinnati Reds baseball. Okay, so he bet on it,
Mhm.
right? But he was involved in the sport and he was gambling on those games. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem
Right?
because you directly can affect that game.
Of course you
Yeah,
can.
Mike and I talked about this the other day. I mean, if you're betting on your team to win, I really don't have as much of a problem because you have a lot less control on can my team win than can my team lose.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I mean, if
yeah. If he was betting on his team to lose, he could sit there and pull, guys
Everything.
out
who
and
was that really shitty pitcher that went from the Tigers to the Cubs? Was that Phil Koch?
Phil Choke.
Yes, Phil
Yeah.
Koch.
Phil Choke.
So, I mean, if
don't
you-
give me the respect.
If you're bringing him in the ninth inning, you want to lose. I mean, basically, you just want to lose.
We didn't want to lose. It just fucking happened because
Well,
he sucks.
But Pete Rose also was involved with organized crime.
Yes.
And that's actually who brought the issue to the attention of the commissioner of
Right.
baseball
Mhm.
was the
Mhm.
thugs that he owed money to. They went to the commissioner's office and they said, we're going to break his fucking kneecaps and we might do it on TV during a game, actually, because he owes us money
Mhm.
and he needs to pay up. So you better do something about it or we're gonna. And that kind of, made the league think, wow, this isn't going to look good if organized crime takes out the all-time leading, hit guy of the game. So we're going to do something about it.
Mhm.
And Pete Rose, who I wouldn't trust him to tell me the sun was up if I
No.
was standing in the Mojave Desert, said, I made a deal with the commissioner. And he said, if I admitted that I never bet against the game, but I bet on it, I'm okay after I go through a little bit of a period of time where my reputation gets cleaned up. And maybe he did make that deal with the commissioner, right? But that guy was out.
Mhm.
We know why. And then now we've had 30 some years of Pete Rose trying to rehabilitate his reputation. And if it was only about his reputation, he could do a better job. I mean,
Much better job.
but it's not only about his reputation, and that's the problem here. I don't see it comparable with Otani unless it's a huge caveat. They find out that Otani was betting, then we've got a problem.
Mhm.
But nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room with all of this.
No.
The elephant in the room is it's sports gambling. I had to laugh, and I did. I laughed out loud when I was in a public space watching ESPN. I think it was Monday or Tuesday morning. And, after a 16-minute commercial break, they had 15 ads on it for gambling.
Yeah.
Fan
Right?
full draft.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the
BetMGM.
entire network's existence is about it.
so
Right?
Oh gosh,
they've got actual
instead of an infomercial now.
real
Yeah.
shows that are all about the money line.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
I sat here today and I'm like, all right, I don't know who's a good bet to win MVP and stuff because we're going to talk about that stuff. I know how to figure it out. I'll type in what are the odds on who will win MVP. So I have all of the odds up for DraftKings and FanDuel and BetMGM because that makes a lot of money.
yep.
So, and you gamble.
I gamble.
Do you gamble?
No.
Mike? No. Okay, like, and I mean, I gamble, but I don't have the app. We've talked about it a few times. Like,
Because if you had the app, you would do nothing else.
so like I buy a 6-pack. Sometimes I'll bring a 24-pack in here, and I go through more in that night. But like I buy a 6-pack because I know that I'm going through all 6 of these.
Yes.
Right. Like it's if I have this on my phone, shit. I know, like I'm the guy who should be calling 1-800-477 gambling hotline, right? Like, it's not that I feel like I have a problem. It's that I know I have a fucking problem, right?
Yeah, I throw a few bucks here and there, a lot of free bets. I love my free bets.
Yeah.
Give them to me. I will do that shit all day long.
I can't.
But I will not throw. I'd never bet more than $2 or $3 of my own money on anything.
Sure.
Because like you, I know if I started doing that, if I threw $20 on a game, I'd start throwing $50 on a game. I'd start throwing $100 on a game because I have that addictive personality. I can't do it. I won't.
And I'll chase. As we were talking about it.
Well, you did it on the fucking cruise.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right? Like
You were down, and the next thing we knew, you were constantly in the casino.
yeah, of course, I'm gonna go win my fucking. But like my problem, I have an issue with. I have no problem losing $1,000,
Yep.
which sounds really shitty. But if I'm up like 120, I start getting all nervous and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna take this fucking money and leave. Like, I can't ever go chase that big win. I mean, granted, the only way I could do a big win is like on a slot where it pays out well. But otherwise, like, and then I'm usually getting up and walking away. That I'm done with the casino.
Yeah,
and
that's good that you have the recognition that it may turn into a problem.
oh yeah,
And the thing about me and gambling is, and I don't claim to have any special moral superiority. It's just real simple. I have a memory that never, ever, ever, ever allows me to forget money that I've lost
Yep.
ever. So if I lost $1,000 gambling, and then 10 years from now, I'm in a casino and I get a $500 payout on the slot machine. In my mind,
you're
I
still down.
still fucking lost $500 goddamn dollars.
Yep.
These motherfuckers took my money. So
Yep.
screw them, and I'm never going to give them another penny again.
Yep.
And because of that, I'll never gamble because I can't.
No, at least you know that. Like that's a big thing. Yeah, I no, trust me, I think Pete Rose handles this stuff. It's funny to me because like right, we hold athletes to like this really high, like they're supposed to be top Nate.
Yeah,
You know,
they're supposed to be role models.
Right.
And
And
no fucking
and
reason.
then, like
They're not
this
role
guy,
models.
this guy,
Right.
no, it's great. Like, you know, I love John Daly, right? Just cleared, cut dry, like, no, you know what? I'm fucking drinking, I'm smoking. Hey, I do a 12-pack of Diet Coke and a 6-pack of peanut M&Ms every round. I'm like, we
Yep.
can golf together, my friend.
But you wouldn't want to go into a business, partnership with him. And I think that we've talked about Denny McClain. I think the last time that I was on for the baseball episode, it's the same thing with him, right? Guy had an incredible arm.
Yep.
And, up to no good from day one.
Mhm.
And great, he's got a great talent, but he's a nightmare to have on your organization because he's going to run your ass out that door and take every penny you have before you even realize what he did.
He was the best pitcher in the American League in 1968.
Yeah.
But not the best pitcher on his team.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he almost cost them the World Series.
Yeah.
Mickey Lolich did not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. He won 3 games.
Out of 4.
That's just
Out of 4 of their wins, he won 3 of them.
Yep.
So 3/4 of the wins in the 68 World Series were for Mickey Lolich.
Yep.
How many did Denny McClain win that year in the World Series?
None.
0.
Yeah.
Mhm. Pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't see that nowadays.
No.
They don't let pitchers do that anymore.
Hey,
But-
the whole way that the pitcher is developed and then they attempt to steward his arm through the career is, I used to think they did it because they want to make the guy's arms last longer,
Mhm.
but it doesn't happen.
No, it
Their
doesn't.
careers aren't one game longer than they used to be.
No.
And if the goal was to reduce the amount of wear and tear on a guy's shoulder or elbow, then why the hell are they having him doing bullpen sessions?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
because we think that we've got this genius method of sabermetrics that if we can get the guy to throw the exact same pitch every single time, we're going to get him to go out there and win the game.
The problem I have with all of it is there's a pitch count. So especially when you're young now, you have to follow a pitch count, but they're not counting any pitches in practice. You can
Right.
throw
No.
2 straight hours in practice, and nobody gives a shit.
Yep.
But if you throw 40 pitches in a game, you got to take a couple days off.
Which is why I don't understand why they
in warm
bother
ups
with it.
and
Yeah.
like you're already talking between like warm up pitches and even like when you first get out there to just warm up even before the between innings.
Yeah.
You've probably already thrown 100 pitches just outside
Easy.
of your
Easy.
Yeah.
the pitches you've thrown in game.
And again, people will always bring up Nolan Ryan. Listen, for every Nolan Ryan, there's 800 guys that blew out their
There's
shoulder at 16.
500 Tommy Johns.
And,
Right. It's,
and the other thing about Nolan Ryan too is he had something that pitchers nowadays do not have. He had proper pitching mechanics. And so nowadays guys don't wind up.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, the whole reason why a guy winds up when he throws a ball is because then a lot of the physics of his body, the energy is redistributed. It comes
Yep.
from his legs, it comes from his waist, not all his arm and his
Mhm.
shoulder and his elbow. And So when a guy just stands there and throws the ball, it's just like me when I'm cleaning up my yard and I see a big rock or something, I pick the thing up and throw it
Mhm.
because wow, I'm going to act like I'm a 16-year-old kid again and can throw a fastball. And then my shoulder hurts like a mother, you know what, for the next 2 weeks,
Yep.
right? It's because I didn't warm up and I didn't stretch and I didn't wind up.
Mhm.
I didn't wind up to throw the
Mhm.
ball. So Nolan Ryan had the absolute best mechanics of any pitcher that ever pitched the game. And that's why he was able to keep his arm preserved and last as long as he did.
Mhm.
I bet-
He was such a better pitcher in his 40s than he was in his 20s.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. A guy like that with a career that long and very effective. They didn't just put him in the games when he was 40 years old because they thought it was the right thing to do.
No, they put him in because he was going to win.
You got it. And I
He might
remember,
throw a no hitter every time
Yep.
he went out there for the Texas Rangers, his last team. You're like, this dude could throw a no hitter today every time.
Robin Ventura.
Yes. Now he did not throw a no hitter against Robin Ventura. He hit that man in the face many times.
Say,
Robin
oh, he
Ventura.
he hit, that's for sure.
And Robin was in his mid-20s at the time and decided to test Nolan Ryan and run to the mound and I'm going to do something. And Nolan Ryan put him in a headlock and beat the shit out of him.
That's right, he did, and he told him, "I don't care how young you are, boy. You're gonna you're gonna learn some respect right now."
And he did.
Yeah, that's
Say,
right.
if you guys haven't seen it, there's a documentary I think on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I of course I watched it because Courtney doesn't want to, and it's nighttime.
Right.
So, but
Was
Oh.
it facing Nolan?
remember,
Something like that.
yeah. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
Was it about Nolan Ryan? Then?
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
it's strictly
cool.
just about,
Okay.
you know, they'll interview some random people and stuff, but they interview him quite a bit. And you know, his wife's there and talks about, you know, how she's like, no, you love the game, just stay and play instead of quitting and
Yeah.
coming to do whatever. Yeah, it's a good documentary. I really enjoyed it. So
So we don't have, I understand, a plethora of trivia questions here today, but I've got kind of it's sort of trivia.
Okay.
We're talking about Nolan Ryan. This just popped in my mind. The Texas Heat, right? First of all, who did Nolan Ryan play for before the Texas
The
Rangers?
Houston Astros.
Exactly. And who was the second half of the Texas Heat with the Houston Astros that later played for the Detroit Tigers?
Was it Frank Tanana?
Yes, absolutely it was. People forget Frank Tanana was a fastballer, and then he threw his arm out,
Yeah,
and
he
then
hurt his arm.
by the time the Tigers got him, he had a good kid of junk balls to
Yeah,
throw.
he
but-
literally. So we love the movie Major League here. He
Well-
turned into Eddie Harris.
Oh yeah,
He couldn't throw 95,
Nope.
98 anymore.
yep.
He was throwing 85
But-
and still getting people out.
Yeah, yep, because he was really good at adjusting to throw different
Mm-hmm.
breaking pitches and he had a lot of movement on his ball. But when he started out, he was him and Nolan Ryan. That was the Texas Heat. So,
All right, I have a trivia question.
mhm.
This is the only one I have for today.
Oh,
And Mike
only
cannot
one.
answer because Mike already knows the
Yep.
answer. So Ichiro started his major league career at I want to say 27 years of age
okay,
and has over 3,000
In the MLB.
in the MLB. Correct.
Yeah.
He started his major league baseball career, and he has over 3,000 hits.
Okay.
If any, how many other players, if they had started at the same age as Ichiro, would have over 3,000 hits in their career, if any?
One.
Nick says one.
If at 27, I'm gonna say one.
it would have to be. You'd have to think about how many people would have had a similar experience, because I would assume we'd be talking about somebody that would have gone on a similar path to Ichiro, played professionally in Japan or elsewhere for a while.
Well, no, not necessarily. Just if they had started their career at
Okay.
that same age, who else would have amassed 3,000 hits, if anybody?
Say I want to say zero, but I think it's a trick question, so I'm gonna say one. One other person.
I'm going to say one.
Does anybody have an idea of who that
Who
one
that
might
would
be?
be? You'd ask that. Let's.
I
see
will
for a
say,
minute.
Mr. Benson got this right.
Okay, that's impressive.
It was logic.
Okay. Player that played in our lifetime.
In our lifetime.
Mhm. Oh. Oh.
Now, maybe not all of our lifetimes. Somebody here is younger.
I am very
Okay.
young.
All right, so now I'm thinking back into the 80s.
Right.
All right.
It was not Rob Deere.
Was it Ken Griffey Jr.?
It was not.
Okay.
Albert Bell.
It was not.
Ruben Sierra?
Hmm. Logic. I say
I'm gonna give you guys a hint. We've already brought him up in this episode.
Shohei.
P. Rose.
Pete Rose,
I'm like, he's got, what did he end up with?
4,100 and some
Yeah,
odd hits.
yeah. So that's what you meant by logic.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
right.
Literally like,
All right. Who had the most hits in baseball? Let's start with that one.
When I asked it to Mike, I asked it a different way. I'm like, who had? So he already knew that somebody had
Somebody
done
had
it.
done
Yeah.
it.
I'm like, I should have asked that with has anyone? He goes, you should have, because when you said who had, that meant somebody did
Somebody
it.
did it.
And if anybody did it, it has to be Pete Rose.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
You would think.
in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say that's crazy. That's your only trivia question.
Yeah, I didn't look up any other trivia.
Wow. Well, looks like I have some work to do quickly.
All right, you look up some trivia. Let's kind of move over. We touched on the Otani thing. Let's touch on it a little more. So
Mhm.
if Otani bet on sports, does anybody give a rat's ass if he did not bet on baseball?
no, just doesn't care.
I don't care. If
If
he
he's
bet on
betting on
football, I
football,
don't
if
care.
he's betting on soccer, if he's betting on super
he-
wrestling,
If he's betting on Japanese baseball, do you care?
I don't give a shit if he's giving out about Japanese baseball.
Right.
As long as it's not,
The major
I don't
league.
even care if he's betting on minor league baseball.
Do you care if he bet on the Cubs Tigers game?
No.
Because he has no direct. Now, if he was betting on Angels games or against, even worse, against Angels
Oh,
games.
yeah.
But here's the problem. We
Mhm.
don't know that he has no direct. He's
Right.
a player in the game
True.
who knows a lot of other
Well, that's
players.
true.
And if one person involved with Shohei Ohtani was involved in gambling, then it is not illogical to
You can draw that correlation.
suggest that there might be other people. So
Yeah, like-
I think that if
Like he could have, like you said, he was good friend. He's good friends with Suzuki from
Yeah.
the Cubs.
Say a Suzuki, yeah.
if
And
he
that being said, like it'd be like, hey, I'm gonna put some money on this. Can you make sure you strike out a couple of times?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. don't make it obvious, just
yeah.
boot a ball, make it one that be hard for you to get and make sure it's so and so up to the plate that hits it. But
Yeah.
just let it go through.
Well, and speaking of a betting thing,
The basketball stuff. Have you seen that coming around? The guy is now in trouble for doing the money lines and things like that. So
Basketball is it NBA?
it is NBA. I don't remember the player. It's a no name kind of guy, but like, it was under over on how many threes he was going to have. And there's a video like he's wide open top of the key and like arcs the ball more than and accidentally makes it. Like, but you could tell he was trying to miss while making an attempt, and it was like, oh man. But there's like 3 times now where he has the most bets on him.
Mhm.
And again, it's a no name kind of a player.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't follow. If it was LeBron, it'd be a whole huge thing. But it's like, wow, how is there so many bets on this specific guy doing this?
there was that huge scandal a few years ago for an NBA official.
Official.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was throwing games.
That's the one thing. Yeah, like the officials have control over any game.
100%.
Especially in basketball.
Yes.
I mean, that guy is driving the game
Absolutely.
in many cases.
Like I said, there's a little less. I fully agree. Unless you're like the home plate ump, there's not a lot of.
Yeah, if you're standing at second base, there's only so much you can do.
I think that if he's found to have violated major league rules, that's going to be a big problem for Major League Baseball.
Huge.
It's
He's
huge.
the top star in
I
baseball.
can guarantee you, if Rob Manfred prays to any baseball gods right now, he has been on his knees
Yep.
saying, please,
Mm.
please don't let Ohtani actually be the one that spent the money on the games.
Yeah.
Please don't let that happen
He's a
because
cash cow.
the whole reason why baseball started season out in South Korea
Correct.
is
Yeah.
primarily because of him.
Yeah, they
And-
wanted to see Otani.
and for that sport to have that avenue, I mean, baseball, if it's going to have a future growth outside the United States, it's going to be in Southeast Asia.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I mean, for the South Koreans to like Otani is remarkable because there's not a lot of cultural exchange
Yep.
historically between those two countries.
No,
Actually, they hate
not at
each
all.
other
Yeah.
historically.
Historically,
Yeah. So it's
typically every
yeah,
country out in that general region hates.
it's
The other
Japanese.
one.
Yep.
Well, just
So
outside of their own country.
Sure, so
whether
it's
they
really
don't like China,
remarkable.
they don't.
And for baseball to potentially lose this would be really bad. So just looking at it from like a PR and a business point of view from that side of the game. But then it gets back to as well. So who was this interpreter and how did he get to the point where if the initial reports are correct and it looks like he's the one that was somehow embezzling money out of Otani's account and then spending it on his habit, then there's going to be, I think, a lot of speculation as to how did it get to that point?
Mhm.
How did the interpreter go from one team to another, right? And I don't know. I like what you said earlier today, Dave, about that's what happens when you have stupid money.
Yes.
I mean, imagine having so much money that, well, I lost $4 million, but geez, maybe I thought it was spent on something else. It's not really that much.
Well, I mean, there are people out there that they don't watch their money like I do.
Mhm.
And I mean, Nick watches his money, but like he said, he looks at his accounts every day,
Yeah.
but he doesn't necessarily look at his cash every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know what I have everywhere because again, I've been broke. And not that you haven't,
No, I see.
but as an adult, trying to support a family, I've been broke.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I work really hard at knowing where every dime is.
Mhm.
Mike and I were supposed to do something this coming week, and he ended up having a conflict. And he's like, "Yeah, look at it this way: we're not going out drinking. We won't spend a bunch of money."
Yep.
See? That's
True
it.
story. I
Yep.
mean, and I told him, I'm like, "Hey, I'd like to go sometime, but I'm in no rush. So whenever you're ready, you let me know, and we'll find a time."
Yeah.
But
Oh, I lied. Remember how you asked me how much your wife just paid me $60?
oh, there you go.
So I have $160 on me.
See, you didn't even know.
I just got it. I completely forgot about it.
But so when we're talking again about Otani, we had mentioned, was it you who shared the meme or whatever that said like until now 2029, Bobby Bonilla
Yeah.
will get his deferred payment from the Baltimore Orioles.
Right. Not just the Mets payment. He's getting a deferred payment from the Orioles as well.
And I said, we sit there, in our generation, we celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day.
Correct.
Is it going to be Shohei Ohtani Day for our kids?
See.
Because he's got a bunch of deferred money. And
Yep.
when you think about Bonilla, when him and Bonds were together on the Pirates, they were lethal.
No,
And Bonilla was the better ball player.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mets signed him to that huge ass contract. And I don't know whether he just had a great agent or he was smart enough to know, hey, I can defer this money. That's no big deal because I'll just be getting $1 million every year for the next 40 years, whatever it is.
Yep.
What a great deal for him.
yeah.
Yep.
I have no idea if it was his agent or him, but somebody credit where credit's due because that's the smart way to do it.
Yes.
Well, you looked. I read a huge article about it, and basically, like they couldn't afford to pay him all up front,
Mhm.
and he was a saver naturally. So he's like, "Oh, I have enough money," and then it literally just led to, "Well, I'll take this," and then it realized how much extra it was to take the payment over time versus getting paid right up front. I was like, if anybody offers me that, hell yeah, I'll take interest on my money. Because
Absolutely.
he has to get paid interest too, which is amazing. to think.
Every now and then you see a unique situation like that develop in professional sports. The Pittsburgh Penguins with was it Mario Lemieux?
I think
believe,
so.
partial owner of the team, and that came out of them literally not being able to pay one of his contracts out,
Yep.
and so they had to make a deal that he got literally a share in the team, and then his payment is he gets his cut of their profits for I don't know how long it is, but it's quite some time. So
Mhm.
Yeah. So every year from 2004 until 2029,
Yeah.
Bobby Bonilla gets $500,000 from the Orioles.
yeah, which is
That's
incredible.
25 years.
Yeah. Yeah, $500,000. I mean, he could do nothing. He could not get up the entire year out of bed and have an income of $500,000.
All right. I lied. I have another trivia question that Mike cannot answer because I sent this to him.
Okay.
Greg Maddux was insane.
Yes.
Greg Maddux faced 20,421 batters in his entire career. How many batters saw a 3-0 count?
400.
4.
Nick says 4.
I say 400.
Honestly, Nick's closer.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is really small.
Oh.
133.
It was tiny.
Out of 20-some thousand?
And I gotta say, it was probably in his first couple 3 years with the Cubs because he again when Maddux
That's
started,
absolutely crazy.
it's insane.
That's a statistical non-existent. I mean, statistically, he didn't even ever get to
Yeah.
a 3-0 count, basically.
24-21. I gotta find it out. 24-21. 0.006.
Yeah,
Yeah. So basically multiply that by 100 and
One
you're-
1,000th
of a
Yeah.
percent,
Yeah.
basically.
of a percentile. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, he was a fireballer when he came up, but later in his career, he didn't have that gas anymore. And I will say, as a huge Greg Maddux fan, he got a lot of fucking calls. I mean, there would
Yeah.
be a pitch 3 feet outside, and the umpire would call it a strike because the catcher was set there.
Same call on the other side.
He did. You're not wrong.
See, that's
But it's tough. It's still tough to hit Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
it is.
If there are 2 pitchers I never would have wanted to face, mind you, I couldn't hit anybody.
Yeah.
Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
I'll throw,
Randy Johnson because he just threw straight fucking gas, and Greg Maddux he's
I'll
just making
throw
it
a
look
third into there.
silly. Mhm.
Believe it or not, before they traded him, Max Scherzer for the
Oh,
Tigers.
yeah.
When he was with the Tigers, the most impressive pitching performance I ever actually saw him do was against the White Sox. It was just a regular game in the middle of the season, and he struck out, I think, like 14 or 15 batters, and 12 of them were looking,
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
caught looking. He just mowed them down one after another, and those guys were going up the plate basically knowing full well I can't hit this guy no matter what. I just can't touch it today. And sometimes a guy has it, and that pitching performance, I mean, really, really impressive.
I'm listening to the score the other day, and Matt Spiegel's talking about baseball starting and everything, and he brought up Herb Score, who was a longtime
Mhm.
announcer for at the time of the Indians, now the Guardians,
Yeah.
and he announced during some of the worst years ever for
Mhm.
that team, because there were 50 plus years that the Indians at the time were just god awful, just cellar dwellers and horrible. And somebody, he saw an interview and somebody asked him, he's like, how do you get excited every day when you know your team is just that bad? He goes, listen, you have to take every game as basically a new season.
Mhm.
Somebody's listening today that has never listened to a game before. And I need to paint that picture for them, and I need to make it exciting. And with baseball, it's different than every other sport. You never know what you might see, and you might see something you've never seen before today.
Yeah.
So if you are
Yeah.
going into that game thinking that this might be special, you can paint that picture for people and make them understand that this could be a special game, even though the team's 30 and 65.
Yeah.
Because any game is possible. I remember watching on TV a Detroit Tigers game in, I think it was the mid 1990s, maybe ambitious estimate of 3,000 people at the game,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? A 50,000 seat stadium.
Mhm.
Team's terrible. It's I think it's August or September, so there are 100,000 games out of first place. But Roger Clemens is on the mound, and
Well,
he
passing the
struck.
post.
I think it was 17 or 18 out. It was
Yeah.
the game that Roger Clemens tied the American League record for the most
For
strikeouts.
20, yeah.
And it's 20. That's what it was. And it's the same thing, right? Anybody before that game started could think, you know what? This is a shitty, horrible team playing a game that doesn't mean a damn thing.
Yep.
But no, Roger Clemens is on the mound, and to him, that game meant as much as every other game he had
Yep.
ever pitched in.
100%.
And so for the to have that experience is really incredible. So any baseball game, it's possible. It is.
Well, and I think, when we talk about fandoms, there's only one team that even if they're shitty will sell out, and it's the Cubs.
Mhm.
And it's partly because of that ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not even partly, it's probably 90% because of that
Oh, hands
ballpark.
down, it's because of that ballpark.
It's an experience to go to Wrigley. The only other ballpark in the world that's like it is Fenway.
Oh, yeah.
If you've seen a game from the bleachers at Wrigley Field, you know that you had a good day that day. It doesn't matter what happened in the game. You had a
Sure.
good day in the bleachers.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because even if it's 95 degrees and there's not a cloud in the sky and you're roasting,
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a good day in the bleachers.
that's right.
Well, and it goes, for anybody that hasn't been there and likes to go to ballparks and things, make sure you go early, right? I mean, to
Yeah.
watch them
Mhm.
chalk the lines is
Mhm.
just amazing, right? Like they still do it the old school. They don't have the stupid spray bottle or whatever. Like they take a chalkboard, right? You tap it and then
Mhm.
boom, pick it up and move down. Pick it up and move down. Like so they still
And when
do
you're
things.
lucky enough to catch like the tail end of like batting practice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's also a cool experience. Unfortunately, you don't see that as much anymore.
Yeah. I wish they'd allow you in for batting practice, things like that.
It depends. I mean, getting to a game early, sometimes you do get to see stuff that you wouldn't believe. And the one Cubs game I've been to in my life, we got there plenty early, and you you get to walk around the entire stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, we got there like 2 hours before the game started, right? Because I'd never been to Wrigley Field before. I'm going to make this trip count, and
Yeah.
that gets to what you were alluding to, the whole experience, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
you make a whole day out of it, and everybody's in a good mood. You know, it's 2 hours before the game started, but we took the L over there, and half the people on the train are going to the game, and they're all
Yep.
excited, and that's such an important part of it. And I experienced something very similar. The last game I ever went to a Tiger Stadium, because we got there very early, and unbeknownst to us, you could walk around the field, actually go down around the field,
That's
take pictures. So it's really, really, really cool. And
That was really cool.
yeah, and be the
When I was thinking about this driving up, and I think it's what makes, like I said, I mean, because you kind of said it in the one message. You said, you know, the best time of year started on Thursday.
oh yes.
But it's literally, I mean, the other sports, you know, they're good, but there's just something like baseball is just, you can't put it inside a building and have it be the same.
Mm-mm.
You can put all the other sports inside, maybe not soccer or like the world of soccer,
Mhm.
but the other popular professional sports in the United States, you cannot put baseball at, you know, when the Twins were playing at the Metrodome was not that fun to watch.
No.
No.
But you know, be out there in the sun, like you said, in Wrigley or, you know, any of the
Fenway
places,
or Camden.
Camden, really any of the places. I mean, it's just being outside and doing it. It's even to the point of like with popular culture, like with movies.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all of your other sports movies are like usually adults, usually whatever, but you've got baseball movies that are like kids playing baseball and
The Sandlot is one of the greatest baseball movies of all time.
Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears is great too. And they're just kids playing ball.
Baseball, there's a reason why the field is called a park.
Mhm.
To your point, Mike, yeah, absolutely. Meant to be played outside. And the evidence is the teams that attempted to build giant indoor domes, they got rid of them eventually.
Yeah, they did. They
And-
never last.
No, they didn't. Any team that has a stadium now that has the capability of closing the roof, it's exactly that. It's an indoor and outdoor stadium.
Yeah, it's intended only so they can continue to play when either
When it's
cold
raining.
out
Yep.
Yeah.
or when it's raining.
Yep. And
Hey,
it's
when
great.
Doing it in Toronto makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you ever have the freaking World Series in Toronto again, it's gonna be a horrible place to play.
Yeah,
Horrible.
exactly. It's
In the
gonna be.
middle of in the middle of November.
Yep.
Or early November.
Well, and you know, I don't know if we've talked about this on air before, but last September, actually end of August, Mike and I took our best friend to Chicago
Yep.
for his bachelor party, and Caitlin
Yeah.
went with us, and it was the four of us in Chicago. And the very first thing we planned was a Cubs game.
Mhm.
We got tickets to
And
Cubs
also the only thing
Brewers.
we told Mikey to
Yeah.
know for sure he was doing.
It was the only thing
Yep.
he knew we were doing. We got Cubs Brewers tickets. We got to the hotel, parked the car, hopped on the L, took the red line down to the ballpark.
Sure.
We're there like 3.5, 4 hours
Yeah, we were
before the
there.
game.
A few hours because yeah,
We had bleacher seats, and in Chicago, I don't know about every ballpark, but most ballparks, your bleacher seats are still assigned. In Chicago, they're not. They're
Mhm.
first come, first serve.
Which is great.
So we know we want to be there because park opens 2 hours ahead of time, which it doesn't always, we found out. Sometimes it only opens an hour and a half. So we were in line way earlier than we needed to be, but fine, no big deal. So we get there, and there's not a long line, and Murphy's across the street is open, and we're like, fuck it, we're going to get there. So the four of us go over and we get a drink or two, and, and then we go hop in line, and we get in, and we get our seats front row, right field, because left field sucks.
Field sucks.
Cubs won that day. We had a blast.
Mhm.
And afterwards we went, got dinner and drinking in Wrigley and, in Wrigleyville, and we had such a great time. And that entire bachelor party was planned
Mhm.
around baseball.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I had said at the time, like, Caitlin has been a Cubs fan as long as I've had her. I've had her since she was 5 years old. And Mike and I and Mikey, we've all gone to numerous Cubs games together.
Mhm.
And Caitlin and Mikey and I have gone to Cubs games, and Mike and Caitlin and I have gone to Cubs games, but the four of us had never been to a Cubs game together. So it just made it really, really special. And we had such a good time. I mean, the entire trip was great, but we got a picture in front of Harry Carey's statue because he's Harry Carey.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mike and I had said going into it, we enjoyed the seventh inning Gus conductor to an extent, but for our money, just play Harry on the video board, please.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
right.
And the
So I
seventh,
really got a little worried because one guy
Yeah.
from like some band from like the 2000s
Yeah,
was,
came and did the first pitch.
Yeah.
yeah.
And usually that's whoever's singing.
Mhm.
And it hits the middle of the seventh and they go, and singing today's stretch on the video board, we just roared. And we sang with Harry.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest thing ever. I mean, it was one of my favorite days in 46 years.
Well, even
That's
with the
great.
guest conductors, it's only a few of them we want to hear
Right.
from. You know, Bill Murray,
Bill Murray,
Eddie Vedder.
Eddie Vedder, yep. Pat Hughes,
Pat Hughes.
or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pat Hughes,
any of
sure.
the announced guys,
Yeah.
honestly, any
Yeah.
of them.
Ron Coomer.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Yeah.
But
it's-
like, yeah, but
unique.
like the celebrities.
Any of
they
the old
bring
ball
in.
players. I
Yeah.
mean, if you bring Rhino back
Yeah.
or Grace or
Yeah.
Fergie or Billy, I'm
Fully.
great with those.
Fully.
I don't ever want to hear Dick sing it again. It's
No.
fucking awful. Stop it.
yeah.
Or people literally just because they're famous.
Right.
Like, you know, bring again, John Cusack, huge
Yeah.
Cubs fan.
Cubs fans. Bring me Cubs fans. People that this means something to.
Bill Murray, of
Yes,
course.
absolutely. People that might have
Yes.
seen Harry even.
Yeah.
When the Brewers are in town. You can let Bob Uecker sing every fucking game. I don't give a shit. I hate the Brewers, but I love Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
If the Brewers, I would fully agree. If the Brewers are there, Euchre.
I mean, when Vince Scully was on his farewell tour,
Oh, hands down.
Vince Scully could have sang every damn day, and he could have sang "Root, root, root" for the Dodgers. I wouldn't have given a
Yeah.
shit.
Hands down. And I think it's just the same thing. I'm like, while they were, you know, if Harry had died, you know, while they were still available to do it, you know, people like, you know, Bill Rizzuto and,
Jack Brickhouse,
yeah,
yeah,
any of these,
Ernie Harwell.
Ernie Har, yeah, any of those guys.
It's such a unique tradition. I think I told this story the last maybe a couple baseball episodes ago about a few years ago. The one time I went to Wrigley Field, we were there with a couple friends from Germany, and that point in the game where it is a seventh inning stretch is always funny to see how people who aren't familiar with the game of baseball
Mhm.
react to that. But of course, it's Wrigley Field, so there are other very unique cultural cues there too. And it's funny because the game starts, of course, and everybody stands up for the national anthem, and then that's an important part of the game and the game experience. And then the game starts, and getting to explain the rules of the game to baseball to somebody,
Yeah.
it actually makes the game much more enjoyable to watch. Before the game started, I got a game and with the scorecard.
Yeah, yeah.
Score during the game, show
Oh,
people that.
I love
That's the
keeping
best way
score.
to do it.
Well, then when you know you're not sure if something's like an error or whatever, then
When
you
you
watch
hit the board,
it.
you hit the board, and you're like, are they gonna flag H or an E?
and I say, right, or you figure out like you want to be perfect, right? And so you're watching, you're like, yeah, I made that right call. I made that right call. And if you hit an error and they mark it as an error, you're like, good. And when you think it's an error and they don't, you're like, God, you are the dumbest score person to say, but I say I love keeping score. I don't do it at games unless it's like by myself.
Yeah.
But normally I'm like talking
Yeah.
to my friends or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But if I could just go, like my dream would be to have, we have the Whitecaps here. We talk about it, right?
Yep.
I want season tickets. My wife does not want me to have them. I want to just go and enjoy 80 games at home
Yep.
and just sit there and be that guy who's just, yep, I've enjoyed my time.
Mike and I have discussed this when we retire.
Yeah.
We're getting season tickets to the Cubs.
We will.
And we're gonna go 40, 50 games a year.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because we want to.
And then
We
we will
love
give other
baseball.
people the games
Yeah.
while we're traveling to the other places to
Correct.
the games.
Well, and that's a huge thing. So like
Oh, we have to talk about that.
I-
Go on.
I said to Dawn a few months ago, I'm like, listen, we have a free companion ticket. I think we need to fly somewhere this year just to use the free companion ticket. And we started kicking around some ideas. I talked to you about this. We talked
Yeah.
about Colorado or Arizona.
Yeah.
And I kind of settled on we're going to the Bay Area
Okay.
because this is the last year I could see a game at Oakland Coliseum.
Well, and I mean, the tickets are going to cost you $1.
Yeah, I mean, nobody goes to see Oakland.
Yeah. Like,
But I'm gonna cross off Oakland
Right. Can you
Coliseum
blame
and
them?
Oriole
I mean,
Park,
can you blame them?
Oriole, Oracle
Go for
Park
it.
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I can cross those two ballparks off. I'm
Mhm.
so excited. But not only that, I'm also gonna cross off Cleveland near my birthday.
Mhm.
And at some point, we're going to a White Sox game because I've never been to Guaranteed Rate. I've been to Kaminsky.
same shit. Let's see.
I mean, it's across the street, but I haven't been to the new ballpark.
It's
Yeah.
it's
The new
low-
ballpark that they want to get rid of.
It's lower rate field. Okay, there's a down arrow on this.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, that is They built that ballpark in 1991 and it's not great.
No.
Yeah.
It's not great.
I enjoyed myself there. And again, it's the people that you keep, and that's
Yeah.
what makes the experience.
They've
Um,
tried to make the experience a little bit more like the Cubs. You take the L down there now.
Yeah.
They've developed the area around the stadium a little bit. The last time I was by it, I was on the Amtrak actually to go back to Michigan, and a lot of times the train gets stuck there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think it's a bottleneck in the rail yard there. So you sit there and I mean, geez, the stadium's like, I don't know, 50 feet from the freaking train car.
Yeah.
And you can see that they've made a pretty good effort to develop the area around there. The inside the stadium, I've never been inside of it before. You guys have. I've seen it
I
on
haven't.
TV.
Yeah.
It looks like from the outfield, you might need an altitude,
Oh,
mass to get up there in the upper deck.
What they did with that ballpark, and they made that ballpark after Camden.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
tried to make a modernized ballpark.
Yep.
And that just didn't work because people didn't want modernized ballparks. They wanted stuff that looked like it used to look,
Yeah.
which is why Camden was so successful, which is why Jacobs Field in Cleveland, which I think is Progressive Field,
Yeah.
is so,
Sure.
enticing to people because they're like, oh my God, these ballparks look like they used to look in the 40s and 50s all of a sudden. And that's what people want. People go to Wrigley Field not because the Cubs are good or bad. They go to Wrigley Field because of the ballpark.
Baseball stadiums are an important part of the game in a way that they aren't with other sports.
No.
A basketball arena, I mean, come on.
They're all the
They're
same.
all the same. A football
all
stadium
the same.
doesn't have to be that way, but they are.
Well, it's
And when you look at it, a baseball field is the only field that can be different.
it could be
Yep.
right.
They could all be different.
Mhm.
Let's say,
Yep.
we talk about hitters ballparks and pitchers ballparks, right? I mean, Comerica, it's what, 425 to center, right? I mean, that's a long drive, right?
Yep.
And so, and then we talked about Fenway, right? I mean,
The Green Monster.
yeah, it's only like what 300 and something out there, but it's 40 miles up in the air, right?
And the
So-
fans are right there on it. So the
Well,
fans
which was a
become,
which is a newer thing.
yeah,
That's only been over the last like 20 years.
Yeah, because it used to be nobody was out
nobody
there.
was on it.
And,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can talk about ballparks and people will know dimensions. So I don't know if you'll know because you're young. Mike might not know. I know. David, dead center field in Tiger Stadium.
440,
440.
of course.
Everybody knew it because there was that big 440 sign and that motherfucker was
Flagpole
a
right there.
mile and a half
And
long.
the flagpole was in fair play
Yeah,
by about a foot and a half, actually, between the back, the flagpole and the wall.
I can tell you that at Wrigley, down, I believe left field line is 353
Sure.
and right field line is 355. I may have them reversed, but they're 2 feet different.
Mhm.
And Tiger Stadium was 330 down the left field line. I
Mhm.
think the lines were both 330. I think right field was too. 440 straightaway center, basically a straight square.
Mhm.
Actually made a great football stadium because of that
Yeah.
too. And the Lions should have never left there, but we're talking about baseball right now and not football. So I promise we'll keep it to that.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Ball,
the right field porch at Yankee Stadium is like 293 feet.
it's
It's short as hell.
Yep.
Even you look at like the right field of Fenway, and I mean it's
It's
close
short
to-
too.
It's close, well, and then it's not even overly tall.
No,
Mhm.
Like
it's a
literally-
short fence,
Yep.
like 3-4 feet.
Yeah,
He's-
like the guys literally, they're not jumping to stop a home run ball.
Right.
I got to stand underneath the overhang in right field at Tiger Stadium once, and when you stand under it on the warning track, you see that the upper decks was probably 4 or 5 feet over actually.
Yes.
The lower deck
In fair
in fair
territory.
territory. It's really remarkable to see that, and then you can stand there and you think of all the great right fielders that have played for the Tigers through the years, and again, that stadium was an important part of every game that team played there.
Well,
Everyone.
when you talk about teams, I mean, it's different now because, the free agency has really changed the game. So you don't
Mhm.
necessarily have that love of a certain player if you really love your team. But, growing up a Tiger and Cubs fan, I can go back to my favorite players of the time. My favorite Tiger was Kirk Gibson. I loved Kirk
Mhm.
Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite Cub was Ryan Sandberg. So Mike and I talked last year about going to the Cubs Pride game,
Mhm.
and it ended up falling on the day of quarterfinals. So I didn't know if I would be available to go or not.
Mhm.
And I really wanted the jersey because you could buy a ticket and get a jersey.
Yeah.
And I wanted the jersey because they did it for the year. It was 2023. So it says on the back Pride 23.
Yeah.
Now, I found I could buy them. And I said to Mike, I'm like, Mike, do you want one? Because that's what I gave him for his birthday. And he's like, hell yeah, I do. I'm like, it was important for me to get 23.
Yeah.
Because of Ryan Sandberg. He was my first favorite Cub.
Oh, sorry.
And I wanted 23 because of Rhino.
Right.
So, you know, the Pride game this year is not on a day that softball could happen. So I got tickets and it'll say Pride 24, and that's great.
There you go.
But I wanted 23.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, right? Yes, I always fall in love with a player,
Mhm.
right? And I think we've talked about it. I'm like, I will then go buy a jersey,
Mhm.
and then my player's gone, right? Like Verlander, right?
Yeah.
I was like, you know, Placido Blanco, right? Like then just
Mhm.
gone. Every time I buy a jersey, and like it's people like Verlander who you think are never going anywhere, and then all of a sudden and I was like, wait, he's with me forever. I go buy a jersey and he's gone. So now I quit falling in love. Like I still love the player, but I just won't support and buy a jersey because I know that I am the jinx. I am that guy.
You
right?
are the Jake.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like I own.
Nick is why
I-
Justin
I-
Verlander
I-
left the
I-
Tigers.
Yeah.
Buy a Shohei Ohtani Dodgers jersey.
Yeah.
Dodgers jersey.
Yeah, but like you know, like right, I have a Jason Hansen, then he goes and retires, and then I get a Matt Prater, and then he's gone, and I'm just like, why is every time I buy a jersey,
You know what I do for jerseys now?
just buy a blank one?
No, I buy people that are now retired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my favorite Bears jersey to wear is Walter Payton because he's my favorite athlete of all time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, if I went and bought a Bulls jersey, I'd go buy a Jordan jersey.
I do the same thing.
I'm not buying DeMar DeRozan. I love DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a great ball player, but he's not going to be on the Bulls next year, so I'm not going to want to wear his fucking jersey.
My 1984 warm-up baseball, Detroit Tigers baseball jersey that I like to wear for when I go out for a run in the morning, actually. It's number
what?
3.
A what?
Run.
I don't know what that is.
It's number,
It's number 3.
Number
Now,
three,
if
yeah, that's
anybody
right.
here, yeah, I was going to ask if
Yeah.
anybody knew who number 3 was
Yeah,
besides
Alan
the
Trammell.
Silvas.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's why I got it.
Yeah.
right? Because it was
It was
number
Alan
3.
Trammell.
Alan Trammell.
Mhm.
So
I mean, when we were playing ball together for your dad, he would sit there and literally describe us all in Tigers players.
oh yeah.
So I was always Cecil Fielder because I was big. I was
Yeah.
the first baseman. And I couldn't move. And if I hit the ball, I hit it hard. I mean, so I was Cecil Fielder every time I came up, and I was fine with that.
yeah.
Once
And
you
the
get a fucking
shortstop
play.
It was gonna be Alan Trammell.
Yeah. I mean, that's how he referred to everything.
Yeah.
Did your brother play second base?
Actually, I did.
He played second
I played
base.
second
Did your
base.
brother play shortstop?
He was
Really?
usually a left or right fielder.
Yeah.
He was an outfielder. Dan was an
Really?
outfielder. Yeah.
Yep.
It just like the size of you two, like I feel like you guys would have the perfect.
No, I will tell you.
Well, they
Second.
tried that.
I know who played shortstop.
Yeah.
It was Eric Jocelyn.
Yep.
And that motherfucker, anytime I pitched, would let every goddamn ball go through his legs. Mind you, he wasn't always the shortstop. Dave Zeiderveen was the shortstop if I was at first.
Yeah.
But if I had to pitch, he had to go play first.
And Eric Jocelyn and Dave Zeiderman were not built like me.
no.
They're tall and thin.
Yes.
Not short.
But Jocelyn, every fucking time there was a guy, I had a sinker ball. That was my pitch.
Yeah.
So I could get a ground ball to the shortstop, and that motherfucker couldn't field it. It went through his leg every goddamn time.
Ole, 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 ole.
Well,
I would get so pissed. I literally would call timeout, and their dad would come out, and I'm like, listen, you got to take me out because I can't fucking get anybody out. And he's like, yeah, but I don't have anybody else to pitch. And
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't matter. I can't.
well, sometimes I got thrown into and my arm was really bad. And
You did pitch quite a bit.
yeah. So hey, you do what you do when
we
you're
do. We had so much fun playing ball, though. It just didn't matter. That the last year I played Little League, we were god awful. I think we won one game,
yeah, it was pretty bad.
but
We
we
had
had
fun.
so much fun
Yeah.
winning that one game,
It's-
and every game we lost, we had fun.
And
It
you
didn't
guys
matter.
talk about keeping score.
Yeah.
I can tell you that that was very serious for my father when he was our coach. He had special graphing paper that he
Mhm.
bought in a notebook to make score sheets, right? And we kept score, we kept the statistics for all the kids on that team,
Yeah.
right? Because it's baseball, you have to do that. It's
He-
actually one of the things that makes the sport so fun to
He
follow
gave
and
the
play.
stats to the kids after the year.
Oh,
Like we knew
He
what
did.
we hit,
yep,
how many errors we had. Like that wasn't a thing that Little League coaches did back in the day,
yep,
but his dad did.
yep. Because he took it seriously and he had a lot of fun doing it, I'll tell you. And we all did.
He was my favorite baseball coach of all time because he did. He had so much fun. Now, again, I've told this story on air before. He would he would leave the dugout and go behind the dugout to smoke his
Oh, yeah.
pipe.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can't smoke the pipe in front of the kids. He's literally on the other side of a see-through fence. Smoking
Smoking pipe,
Killing the game.
I think it was more of then at least he could say he didn't do it in the dugout around the kids. Right. I mean, I don't think my dad cared one bit about kids seeing him smoking.
You're probably right.
It was more of the, well, if I'm not in the dugout, then technically I wasn't doing it
Right.
around them.
Yeah.
To take us on a tangent, because that's what we do here. I threw on Roadhouse the other day.
The new one?
No, the old one. I watched the new one too. The new one's not bad.
Okay.
But I throw on the old one. And Patrick Swayze walks into the Double Deuce for the first time and he lights up a cigarette. I sent a message to Christy. I'm like, it's really weird to watch somebody light up a cigarette at a bar in a movie.
Yeah, isn't
Because
it?
you don't do that shit anymore.
Yep.
No.
Well, even on that, like, I'm going to Las Vegas in 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and it's a culture change quickly because you walk in and it's just this cigar. Everybody in Vegas smokes. Like, if you're not a smoker, you smoke in Las Vegas, right? For some reason, every person there smokes. And granted, now the whole outside just smells like marijuana, which pisses me off. It
Yeah.
stinks. But like, you walk into but you just take him back. You're like, man, I haven't smelt that. It brings me back to a childhood, right?
Yeah.
Of like,
So is smoking still allowed in bars there?
yeah, oh yeah.
See, the first time I ever went into a bar where there wasn't smoking in it, it was overseas, right? So I'm in this bar, it's actually in Italy. And I'm thinking, there's something different about this bar, but I'm in Italy. I mean, of
Yeah.
course there's something different,
Same.
right? I'm not from here. But a couple days later, it dawned on me. That was the difference that I couldn't put my finger on. Nobody was smoking in there. And this was probably like 20 years ago. It was shortly after the Italians had banned smoking in their bars.
Mhm.
But it was just different because every bar up to that point in my life I had ever been into, you just expect it. You open the door and there it is, man.
it just hits you in the
it
face.
hits you.
Mhm.
And then you leave there and your hair smells like it and your clothes smell like it. And it's just disgusting.
You got to take a shower
Yep,
immediately.
all the way because it's just nicotine sticks to everything.
Yep.
But no, I went into there and it was, this is weird. And then, over the years, most places, Michigan, banned smoking in bars about, I don't know, 10 years ago, was it at least?
At
Yeah,
least.
I
I
think-
mean, I was still.
I said
yeah,
I was a
so.
kid because I was in a bowling alley, and then all of a sudden we can't, and it was like the first time you bowl without parents watching while smoking and
Yeah,
doing
it's
all
weird,
like,
isn't it?
you're like, what the hell am I like? It's just a whole different ambiance. Like
Yep.
everything changes in your life. And you're like, this is
The funny thing about going into a bar first time after they banned smoking was what you notice is all the other stuff you smell in there,
oh god,
right?
yes.
Mhm.
And it smells nasty. Smells like stale beer.
Yeah.
No.
They haven't cleaned the bathroom recently.
Yep.
So actually, my first thought was, I think I actually kind of want the cigarettes to roll back. It's nasty, but it's a different kind of nasty.
No. It's you get to those types of things. All right, so I have trivia.
You have trivia. Let's
Okay,
go.
All right,
Great.
let's do it.
All right. Who broke up at least 81 no hitters with a home run?
Oh,
Bonds.
81? Got it.
Who
Yeah.
broke up at least?
Let me ask this question though. A player that played in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Are there more than one?
I only have one answer.
Okay.
I'm going with Bonds.
Okay, I'm gonna go with I don't know, Jose Canseco.
He was unsure about whether it was in your lifetime.
Yeah, I know, which
so-
makes me wonder if it's not Bonds.
70s,
so
maybe 70s. Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, actually, Reggie Jackson's a good
That's a good
option.
answer.
It's Ricky Hernandez.
Okay.
So
Huh.
it's gonna be borderline you. So
Who?
Henderson.
Huh?
Ricky Henderson?
Oh yeah, sorry. What did I say?
Hernandez.
Hernandez. Yeah.
Here, I'm just thinking frig
By the way, one of my favorite relievers of all time died recently, Guillermo Hernandez.
Yeah.
Guillermo.
A couple
Uh,
months ago.
Yeah.
So all right, let's see here. I had another
Ricky Henderson.
I
Yeah.
would not thought of
Can-
that.
No,
He's
because
looking this up. Can I bring this up for a minute?
no.
Did the Tigers go from one great stopper to another, going from Willie Hernandez to Mike Henneman?
I think so.
They were both.
I think so.
So good.
Hernandez was better, but he also had a shorter stint. I think,
Way
with the
shorter.
Tigers. He was only there for what, 3 or
Well, he
4
got there
seasons?
84, and I think he left in 89.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so-
and he wasn't the closer in 88,
No.
and maybe not even in 87, because he only had 2 or 3 really good years.
remember, the closer role was fairly recent when the
Yeah.
Tigers got him.
Yeah, it was in the 80s.
Yep.
Before that, I mean, closers went 3-4 innings.
Yeah.
Because before that, when the guy took
Yeah.
the hill in the first inning, it was
Pitcher was-
understood.
9 innings.
It's yours, buddy. You get in big time trouble in the
Yep.
later innings. We'll pull your ass out of there, but it's your beast now. So take
Mhm.
care of it. And they did.
They did.
So, yeah.
Oh, so, all right, this one you guys will probably get.
Okay.
Who is the only player in history to hit a walk-off inside the park grand slam home run?
Oh, God. It's
Willie?
I'll go with
Really?
Griffey.
there's only been one player in history that hit a walk off
Grand
Inside the
slam.
park.
Inside the park.
Inside the park, yeah.
Grand slam. All three of them.
So that would mean that the runner that started out on first base would have had to have scored while the batter was still running around the bases. And then he realized the game's over. I can just walk. I mean, 'cause the whole thing with the walk off home
Well,
run,
inside the
is-
park.
Well, yeah, he still had to go because it was inside the park.
No.
then it wasn't really
Yeah.
a walk off home run.
Well, no,
What-
the idea is she walks off the field.
Yeah, but
That's how the walk, I mean,
So
that's why you
Mike's,
could have walk off like singles.
Mike's with Willie Mays. I'm with Ken Griffey Jr.
Because it's gotta be somebody who's got speed.
Gotta be.
yeah.
It's not gonna be,
Ty
You
Cobb.
got Cecil Fielder.
You said Ty Cobb?
Ty Cobb.
No, it's Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
oh, that,
Yeah,
see,
that makes sense.
So,
Fast guy.
yeah. Man, let's see here.
what his career could have been.
Oh, if he hadn't have died in that plane crash,
Oh.
oh my God, he was
He already had a great career.
phenomenal. He had everything. Again, he had everything. Like some of those other ball players, Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. He had everything.
Yep.
Nick's thinking. So I'll
Yeah,
pick
sorry. No, I'm just looking up some other ones and trying to figure out what I want to read. I only read two because I figured we'd get back to talking.
Well, I am going to get back to talking while you're looking up a third one. How's that? So let's talk about divisions.
Okay.
Who do we think will win the AL East?
Well, that's a good one. I'm going to say Tampa Bay Rays.
Okay.
I think that's a good shot. I mean, unfortunately,
Huh? that's-
Yankees try to always.
They do, and I don't want to guess the Yankees because
No.
I absolutely hate them.
the
So
Yankees.
I'm just saying, but they always try to hire a bunch of people to.
Mhm. I'm gonna stick with the Rays.
Question?
Yeah.
Was it?
Who's going to win the AL East?
No.
I hate the Yankees.
So
I'm
you and I both know.
I'm
sure
going
the
with,
Yankees,
Yeah, I
yes.
can't.
one of Dawn's sentimental favorites, the Baltimore Orioles,
Okay.
because their grandma's from Baltimore.
Well, and last year they made a very good run at
They
it.
did.
And
Good young team.
Ooh.
Incredible improvement over just 2 or
We-
3 years ago.
We all know it's going to be the Rays
Okay.
for their
Next with the Rays.
for-
Mike?
for their
I'm probably gonna go with the Rays.
Okay. Just
their 10th consecutive wild card.
Yeah.
is
Just so everybody knows.
the
the betting lines are split between the Orioles and the Yankees, and the Rays are fourth.
Okay.
So
well,
if you got a couple bucks and you want to throw it on the Rays, you might win a bunch of money there.
I'm not gonna. I just can't put the Yankees.
He might.
You know.
Yeah.
I would just never will pick the Yankees.
No,
I'm
because
very-
they're the Yankees. Fuck
Are we
'em.
gonna go
It's-
Central?
We're gonna go Central because
Okay.
that means a lot to some people in this
It
room.
does.
AL Central.
Well, I gotta pick the Detroit Tigers, even though do I actually think they're gonna win the division? No, I don't.
I mean, Bet MGM and Bet Rivers have them as number 2.
I do. I say like the weird thing is I'm looking at this and I
Well,
would have
that's just the
assumed
thing,
we're
they
fucking
had-
lasties.
They had.
White Sox are last. They're god fucking awful.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you give me my fucking win opening day. We earned it.
I think the Tigers. I mean, they were showing some good young talent last year.
No, I mean,
I would, if you're saying two, it's gotta be what, the Indians? then?
Yeah, and
Actually, it's the Twins
It's the Twins.
overwhelmingly.
yeah,
Okay.
and that's who I would guess the Twins, but I'm gonna.
I'm gonna go with my Tigers.
My official stance is the Tigers because they're the Tigers.
I'm hedging my bet here. I'm between the Guardians and the Tigers.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going the Tigers. Just
That's what I meant, the Guardians.
Yeah,
They're
I knew
not
what you
good
meant.
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'll go with the Tigers because they're the Tigers. So there we go.
So we're to the AL West.
Okay.
You gotta go with Texas. They're the reigning
Yep.
champs.
I will. Absolutely.
Nick,
Houston.
I'm going with the Rangers. By the way, Houston is the overall favorite, with the Rangers being number 2.
Okay.
You know, the
You know,
dark horse in
I,
this
I am gonna put $1 on it though. On the dark
Uh,
horse.
on the Rangers.
Nope. On the way dark horse.
On the A's.
Oh yeah.
No.
So
I'm looking at
It's so tiny, you can't
That's-
even see it.
It's like 200,000 to 1.
25,000.
Yeah.
I'm fucking putting $1 on this,
There
man.
you go.
I
I would put-
Put $4 or $5 on it, because then if it pays out, you can buy, like a house or something.
Yeah,
like that.
seriously.
So-
Yeah.
My dark horse in the West is the Seattle Mariners.
Oh.
There's a chance.
They're really good.
Yeah.
The problem is that might be the best division in the American League.
Yeah.
They're solid.
I always have
Only
to
team that has never made it to the World Series,
is,
the Mariners.
and I always
Oh, no,
have,
there's other teams that haven't made it.
yeah, I always have
I
to,
heard they're the only ones that have never made it.
No,
No.
the Rockies have never been there.
yeah. Thing about the Seattle is I always have to qualify, is it my own lack of knowledge of the West Coast baseball scene that makes me always forget about them?
Yeah.
Or is it everybody else that, except the people that live out there? I mean, this is a team that everybody forgets in 2001, I believe.
Mhm.
Didn't they set the major league record for the most wins in the season?
Yeah, and then
It
they
was
lost
something
in the
crazy.
first round.
It was like 112 wins or something
Look
like
at
that,
what
and then they
had on
lost.
their team.
All right. I mean, it's incredible. This team sometimes does remarkable things out there.
That mid '90s team that beat the Yankees
Yeah.
with Griffey and Randy Johnson, and mind you, Lou Piniella was managing them, and he's the reason they beat the Yankees because he would bring Randy Johnson in fucking relief.
Yep.
Mhm.
Anything to get a win.
Yeah,
Anything.
because that's what you have to do.
All the way. And those old school baseball guys would do that. They weren't so goddamn obsessed with their
But even
statistics.
you've seen that with like more recent. Like I remember, some of the series where like, yeah, you're bringing in like a Maddox or a Glavine in
Yeah.
like a relief role because
Well, again,
you're just trying to.
Joe Madden did a great job in 2016 until the World Series. And you look at some of the moves he made in the World Series. I mean, he pulled Kyle Hendricks at 4 2/3 innings to bring in Lester, and Lester threw a wild pitch and 2 runs scored on a fucking wild pitch. Why did you take Hendricks? He was dealing.
Mhm.
Leave him in another inning, let Lester come in and have a clean inning.
That's just the thing. You can't bring people. Well, even then he kept running
Chapman out there.
Chapman out
You
there
know, he
for more than one inning.
I'll tell you what he did at that moment. He did something that not just a baseball manager, but people in management do all the time. He made the fatal mistake of thinking, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting there on his hands and saying, it's fucking working right now.
Yeah.
I got to do something, but I can't. I'm just going to sit on my hands and let him do it.
Sometimes you got to believe in the players that got you there.
Yeah,
Sometimes you get screwed doing that, but sometimes you just got to believe in
yeah.
them.
You got to resist your effort to do something. And sometimes the best management is not doing a damn thing.
Yep.
We do have to, speaking of management, I have to give credit where it's due. My boy Jimmy Smokes is in the Hall of
Hall
Fame,
of Famer.
and that's what matters. Right?
Jim Leland, great manager.
Yeah, it's,
I'll say the same thing I have every time I've been on the show and we talk about the Tigers. Him and Sparky Anderson.
Oh,
They're the
him.
two greatest managers that team ever had, and I'll argue with that
Absolutely.
anybody any day.
Absolutely.
I know Jim Leland didn't get the World Series, but from what he did to that team,
Even that, I mean,
so quickly to turn them around like that, which is absolute evidence. It was the manager that made the difference because they had mostly the same players on 06
Yep.
versus 05, and they won like 30 more games. That's the manager, folks,
I still think
period.
they're, like Sparky is one of the greatest managers of all time because what he did with the Reds before he
Yeah,
went
Big Red
there.
Machine, and then
World
in
Series in
Detroit.
2 leagues. Pretty
Mhm.
remarkable.
being a Cubs fan. Now, again, I wasn't a huge baseball fan in '84 because I was young.
Mhm.
But being a Cubs fan, people are like, man, if they would have beat the Padres, they would have won the World Series. Bullshit.
No,
The Tigers
Yeah.
were always winning that
All
World
the way.
Series.
Hands
Yeah.
It's the
down.
same thing when you look at 2016. They're like, well, if something would have gone different, the Indians would have beat the Cubs. Bullshit. The Cubs were always winning the 2016 World Series. The Tigers were always
Yep.
winning the 1984 World
my
Series.
dad always says
35-5.
he always says 35-5 and wire to wire.
Yeah.
And the wire to wire part, people forget they were in first place from the first game of the season to the last. And that it gets to your point. They knew from the beginning they were going to win a World Series. And when you listen to interviews or
Mhm.
watch them or read them with Kirk Gibson
Mhm.
in particular, he'll talk about the end of the 1983 season.
Mm-hmm.
He said as that season ended and they were only a couple games short, they were so pissed off.
Mhm.
All they said to themselves is, we absolutely can't wait for the next season to start because we're not going to let that happen next year. We're going to win this whole thing. And they did.
When you see some of the greatest teams of all times, and not that it is a baseball episode, but I'm gonna talk about the '85 Bears for a minute. They
Mhm.
lost the '84 NFC Championship to the Niners, who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That team was so pissed off that they lost because they felt they were the better team and they should have won.
Yep.
That they literally came out the next year and just started beating the shit out of everybody.
Yep.
And Don shares a video the other day with me of the Super Bowl Shuffle. And of course, because I know sports history. I said, hey, you know what's funny about the Super Bowl shuffle? And she goes, no, what? I'm like, they recorded that the day after they lost to the Miami Dolphins. They only lost of the season.
Yeah.
And they literally went in a studio and started singing about how great they are and how they're going to kick everybody's ass for the entire, and they're going to be Super Bowl champions. And I mean, the balls on a team to do that.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And in professional sports, we can marvel at when people have balls like
Yes.
every other walk of life, that person's being an arrogant asshole.
Yep.
Fuck him. But in sports, oh no, that's great. They're
Absolutely.
badasses and they know it.
They know it. And the same with the 84 Tigers. They were
Yeah.
pissed and they knew they were going to win and
Yep.
they went out there and they beat everybody's ass on the way to win. The Padres were never in the series.
No.
It wasn't a series. It was
No.
hey, it's nice to see you here.
Yeah.
Have some fun while we kick your
Yeah,
ass.
one game.
Yeah.
We'll let you, we'll play around with you
Yep.
a little bit. It's like the cat kicking the mouse around before he finally goes in for the kill. That's what it was.
That's one of the greatest teams
Yep.
in the last 40 years.
Hey, here's a trivia question
Yes, sir.
for you here. I showed my students it was like 2 years ago. I showed them the first 10 minutes of the game 5 of the 1984 World Series.
Okay.
Because you can watch the stuff on YouTube now,
Mhm.
so it's really cool. So I put it on. The national anthem. Who sang the national anthem for Game 5 of the 1984 World Series in Detroit, Michigan?
I'm going to say Aretha Franklin.
That's who I would go with, just because of her.
Yeah, Motown,
Connection.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guess, Nick.
Nick's like, I don't know anybody.
I'll give you a hint, but you'll never get it.
Bing Crosby.
It is a
It's-
Michigan act.
Okay.
It was a Michigan vocal
The
group.
Temptations.
It was the University of Michigan Men's Glee Club.
Real.
Wow.
Interesting.
And
Wow.
That was my second guess.
Yeah, right. Now, the only reason why I know this is because I showed that
Yeah.
I mean, I watched this game while I was on TV, but it was, I was like 6 years old.
Right,
I was a little kid, so I wouldn't have remembered that. detail.
Right.
But so, and I can tell you, this is actually one of the better renditions of the national anthem I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so I showed this to my students, and afterwards, even a couple of them commented on me like, wow, that was a really good national anthem. And I mean, let's face it, the national anthem is a tricky tune to sing.
It is
It's
very
written to an English drinking song.
Mhm.
The lyrics are about a guy marveling at the fact that the flag didn't get blown off a ship and we aren't going to become slaves like, the people we own
right.
because of when it was written. Right.
Mhm.
So it's not a super inspiring song, but when it's sung right, it can be. And that time it was very inspiring. It was great. It was
Yeah.
something else. So there you go.
Huh.
Oh,
No,
now you guys
I'm
will,
gonna go watch this shit. Like,
and you'll never forget.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, you'll remember that for the rest of your
I
lifetime.
can't fucking wait to get on Jeopardy, and that's the only thing I can try.
Again, I asked that baseball trivia question. It was probably 10 years ago now of this hitter faced this pitcher that faced this hitter and it spanned all these years and who is it? And mind you, I don't remember the specifics of the question, but I can tell you it was Ted Williams to Jim Cott to Julio Franco.
Yep.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. And with the world of Facebook and all that crap out there, it's funny some of the completely unsolicited baseball trivia knowledge that you get. I saw this really cool picture somebody put on Facebook of them building Yankee Stadium,
Mhm.
right? And I've seen this picture now, like, I don't know, 20 times in the last month. So now I know Yankee Stadium was built in 1923.
Right. Yes.
Right. And so I could be some stuck up baseball snob. And when I'm in quiet or casual conversation with somebody and they remark, yeah, in 1924, when Yankee Stadium was finished, I could say, no, it was finished in 1923. I can't believe you don't know
They
that.
just didn't populate until
Right.
24.
Well, it's funny because those of us that love ballparks, which, if you're a baseball fan, you love ballparks. You can sit there and go, hey, I love Wrigley Field, but Wegman Park was great. Same ballpark. Or Tiger Stadium was what, Nevin Field?
And Bennett Park before that.
Yeah.
Brick
So, I mean,
Stadium.
we sit there and we know the stupid ass names that things were before they were, what they are now.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't your wife buy you a thing?
Oh my God. So she got me this thing. It's from Wander Club.
Okay.
And you get these little tokens for every ballpark you've been to.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So she bought this for
Cool.
me. And mind you, I've never been to American Family Field. I think that's what Miller Park is now called.
Sure.
But she bought it because I've been to the Brewers ballpark, it's the same fucking ballpark.
Yep.
But now they've come out with a classics collection of 18
Oh,
classic ballparks. So they have Kaminsky, they have Tiger Stadium, they have
Okay.
Miller Park.
Neat.
And I went to buy some tokens the other day because they were buy one, get one free,
Oh, sure.
but they're sold out of Tiger Stadium in Comiskey
Of course.
Park.
Not
I'm like, you
surprising.
motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Of course.
But I bought whatever the hell whatever Jacobs Field is now. I bought that. I bought Oakland, San Francisco, and whatever the hell the White Sox one is now. What is it? Guaranteed rate.
Yeah, lower rate field.
I bought those four because I'm gonna hit those four ballparks this year. So
Baseball parks have always been important community areas
Mhm.
yes.
in this country.
Yeah.
This pops to mind. I actually just this week I was telling my students about something that happened in Michigan in the early 1920s, and I showed them a picture of this huge protest that took place at Bennett Park
Mhm.
before it was Navin Field, before it was Tiger Stadium. It's pictures from 1920. There's like 100,000 people gathered into Bennett Park. I think it seated like 12,000 at the time.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Or 15,000, and they're all there protesting a proposed amendment to the Michigan State Constitution. So it's actually could be been a scene out of today,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Everybody pissed off about the wedge, and it was a wedge issue. Actually, the state legislature was trying to force an amendment to the state constitution through a ballot initiative that would have banned Catholic schools in the state, right?
Uh-oh.
Because people really hated Catholics back then.
Hey.
So society hasn't really changed much in terms of us trying to get the government
You're
to,
saying- you're
you
saying,
know,
hey, but
make people's lives
really
miserable.
all of us have at one point in our life been Catholic.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
So, but my point in bringing this up is that these these ballparks have it's not a new phenomenon that they're important parts of the community and people use them for stuff besides baseball.
Yeah, they
So-
really do.
And, you know, it's funny. Baseball is more woven into American culture than any other sport. That's literally why it's the American pastime.
Very much.
So, you being a history buff, I'm not going to surprise you with this. So, the '68 Tigers,
Mhm.
1968, huge civil unrest in the United States,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to civil rights, and Detroit was a hotbed for that.
Mhm.
And you know, when you watch a documentary on the '68 Tigers, people will talk about how the '68 Tigers brought people together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they were so against each other, you know, whites being mad at blacks and blacks fighting for freedoms,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then all of a sudden the Tigers in '68 came out of nowhere, and
I-
people rallied around that.
They
team.
did, and I being a historian, I'm always very hesitant to wade into the waters of sports cliches, but I did an interview years ago about this very topic,
Mhm.
about the '68 Tigers and Willie Horton's role in the season before '67. That, and it is sort of a legend, but it's actually a true story
Mhm.
as well. That Willie Horton, during the riots in 1967, while he had his jersey on, did actually walk out of the stadium in that neighborhood in Detroit on the southwest side of the city and did try to get calm restored.
Yeah.
You know, as the entire city is experiencing this terrible event. And then the next season, 1968 comes around. The Tigers lost the first game of that season, actually, but then they turn around and won the next 9.
Mhm.
And Jim Price, who passed away sadly last year, so this is the first baseball episode we've done since
Yeah.
former Tigers broadcaster now died. He used to talk about that 1968 season, not only along these lines of how important it was for the community because of what had happened the year before, but what had been going on as well. But he would also mention that that team had a mindset,
Mhm.
in spite of losing their first game of the season, very similar to what we talked about with the '85 Bears, the '84 Tigers, that they had come up just short the year before. And that was such a huge motivating factor. And having come up just short the year before, when you had the riots happen in that city, all the other stuff that was going on, you know, 1968, it was a time in American history where not only in Detroit, but all around the country, you had
Mhm.
civil unrest.
Yes.
And so the Tigers were a really important part in 1984 of bringing that team, or '68 of bringing the city together. And again, I'm a historian. I think most of the time when people say things like that about sports, it's usually not actually true. But I think with the Tigers in 1968,
Mhm.
that made a big difference in
Huge.
that city.
I
Very
totally
big.
agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. I don't think it always happens, but I mean, it's happened a few times where I would say it's real. Like, I think the Saints winning that Super Bowl not long after Katrina
Trina,
Yep.
yeah.
was a big,
Yep.
big thing for New Orleans. I think, you know, some of the success that some of the New York teams had after like 9/11
Yep.
and everything was
Yeah.
a big part of helping recover from that.
Yeah, you know,
Usually big events like that.
it is. This popped in my mind now. Didn't mean to change the subject here, but it's going to for a second.
That's fine.
This-
We do that.
Welcome to Bucks and Brews, baby.
Speaking of New York, we haven't talked much about the Subway series of what was it, 1999 or 2000?
2000.
2000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was really quite remarkable.
It was.
To be able to see that. I remember I was an undergraduate in college, and I remember making such a big deal out of that
Mhm.
and saying to myself at the time that, gosh, I don't think the Tigers are going to be good anytime soon, but at least I have something to care about for this baseball playoffs. And the irony is, I hated both the teams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's New York. I fucking hate the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Mets, I don't really have anything against them, but it is New York.
It's New York.
New York.
so
You know,
later.
so screw them.
Yeah.
But that was a Subway Series, and the 9/11 World Series, as everybody I guess would call the 2001 World Series. I mean, that was an odd one for me. I watched one of those games in England.
Mhm.
So you're watching a World Series game in a country with people that don't really know much about the sport. Actually, they know nothing about it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
certainly knew nothing about it back then. And that was a different experience too. I suffered guilt for rooting against the Yankees because of what happened on 9/11. Mike, you talk about,
Yeah.
9/11 and the references what made me think of the Subway Series. But then now, as I'm talking, I remember I still rooted against the Yankees.
Was that the year the Diamondbacks won?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. it
Okay.
was.
But I actually felt kind of guilty about doing it, but
I
hey,
did not. I was rooting for Mike Grace.
Yeah. Well, I was actually rooting for another reason. Remember Luis Suarez? He used to
Uh-huh.
play for the Tigers,
Yeah.
and he was on that team.
Yeah.
So I had another reason, but Derek Jeter was on the Yankees, and he's Kalamazoo guy. So
Say, right, you got to
I,
respect.
I never,
respect
I never
players.
rooted against Jeter
me
because he
either.
was such a good dude.
yeah, he's Kalamazoo guy.
And he still comes back to Kalamazoo. I mean, he built those 2 new fields for the Kalamazoo Central.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is really good.
Yeah.
So it was always one of these things where I would allow myself to root for the Yankees when he was up to the plate.
Yep.
And then when he either got a base hit or hit a home run or struck out or walked, whatever. Okay. Now it's back to rooting against him.
Right. So now I hope you get into double play.
Yep.
Way to
exactly,
go.
exactly.
You did your job.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you have another trivia question?
This one's
Yeah,
actually like this one surprised the shit out of me.
Okay.
All right. Of the sluggers with more than 600 career home runs,
Mhm.
who is the only one to never win an MVP award?
Oh, geez. I'm gonna guess Babe Ruth because I don't think the award was around back then.
That's a really good
That's
guess.
good.
Okay, I gotta go something different. I'm gonna say Willie Mays.
I'm just gonna go again different. I'm gonna go Hank.
No, it's way newer than that.
Really?
Yeah, it's Jimmy
Very-
Comey.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I
I didn't realize he had over 600. I guess.
Wow.
600. Yeah.
Highest MVP finish was 4th place in 2003 with the
Yeah, I can see
Phillies.
that.
Yeah, like that blew my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
man, how do you still?
because who
You
he
don't think
played
of
for.
Tommy as being an MVP?
No.
Yeah.
No.
But the guy hit
but-
600 home runs.
But I do think I
That's
do think of
crazy.
him as being a Hall of Famer.
I
Like,
mean, he's 100% a Hall
Yeah.
of Famer.
Yeah.
He is not Scott Rowland.
I think the thing is, yeah, there were always a lot of
Reference to the
other
last,
supporting players
baseball
around him
Episode for those of
on
you
the
that were
teams that
listening.
were successful.
But
Yeah.
but again, he had 600 home
He
runs.
did.
I mean,
He's a great ball player.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I always wonder a guy like him. And you could say this, I think, with everybody who's ever played for the Detroit Tigers for sure. They sometimes suffer from not playing for a team on the coasts,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
the media know more about. And I mean, we've had this conversation on this program before. To use 2 names that have been brought up frequently already in this program, Derek Jeter and Alan Trammell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Almost identical numbers
Yep.
in terms of when they played. One was a first ballot Hall of Famer. The other, it took a long time. And even then it was as a classic, whatever they call
Veterans
the
Committee.
Veterans Committee ballot. So
Well, again, when is Lou Whitaker getting in?
Yeah.
right. And what is the difference between those two? Where they played.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
100%.
One played in New York City, the other played in Detroit.
Yep.
Okay. That's the only difference between
I
them.
fully agree. And even when you think of just that, I mean, it's really New York and LA are the big media capitals of the United States.
100%.
Because even then, like, you can talk about other things on the coast. Like, I don't think even Atlanta and other things like get the same
No.
a mound. Even when you get into like Washington, so much of the focus in Washington is on politics,
Yep.
not on
Yeah.
Not on
anything
sports.
outside of it.
On sports. Hey, Nick, you got your phone. I know you're looking up another trivia. I'll give you a quick one
Yeah, let's do it.
while you're cogitating over the next question you're going to ask us. Jim Price,
Mhm.
again, rest his soul. He passed
Yeah.
away last baseball season. A longtime Tigers broadcaster.
Long time,
Right.
right? Like
Who was Jim Price actually drafted into the major leagues with? Which team? It was not the Detroit Tigers
No.
organization. I can tell you that. And the hint is the team is in the state that he grew up in. Okay.
Shit, I don't know where he grew up. in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the Yankees because we've been bashing on the Yankees a lot.
It's not the Yankees, but the state that the Yankees play in borders the state that Jim Price grew up in.
the Phillies.
Boston.
You're real close. What's the other?
Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
That's
so-
it. Yeah, so he actually grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
which is way on the other end of the state than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Pittsburgh drafted him, and he went through Pittsburgh Pirates organization, and then actually I think that's how he got into major leagues, and then he was traded to the Tigers, and then he was the Tigers' backup catcher, and did play several major league games, of course, actually parts of mini seasons with them. So
So I have
Yeah, there
a
you go.
trivia question that Mike may not answer. Who is the major league hit leader for the 1990s?
Tony Gwynn.
I would assume yes, but like now for the 90s. Oh, let's go Griffey.
I will add a caveat to this. He also had the most doubles in the decade.
Ooh,
Hmm.
most double.
I'm still gonna. Yeah, Tony Gwynn wouldn't. You wouldn't think him with
No,
doubles.
he's a he's
not-
got
not
most
built-
doubles,
yeah,
baby.
Yeah, it's not built like a doubles guy.
One of my favorite
Triples
things
is a double.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite things was ever watching David Ortiz hit a double, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like
For anybody else, it's an inside the park home run.
like,
Yeah.
all right, me, you know, I'm the epitome of the meme, right? Like the guy who's sitting there eating chips, drinking beer, going, "What a slow fucking guy," right? Because you're so used to watching everybody else's bull and just so
Okay.
God, who would I choose?
Yeah.
No, I'm still just gonna stick with it, right?
Griffey,
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Tony Gwynn, even though it's probably not him.
Mike, do you want to answer this?
Mark Grace.
It was Mark Grace.
Okay.
Really?
Most singles and most doubles
And
in
most
the
doubles.
1990s.
Wow.
Through the 90s.
Still not in the Hall of Fame.
Still not in the Hall of Fame.
Nah.
Scott Rowland is.
Now, wrestling is, don't you worry.
Yeah, I think with the others, they were two on either side of the actual
Decade.
decade. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Griffey's injuries came in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was
I think
unfortunate.
Glenn, I think, is just where he fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking him. That was sort of the height of his career.
What do you got, Nick?
This will make you guys think just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
What 4 players have hit a home run as a teenager and after turning 40?
Well, that takes away A-Rod.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr.
I would say Griffey for sure. I would say Jeter.
Was he 40 when he retired? I don't think he was.
Was he still a teenager when he got into the pros? Because he's the
He
stage
came up-
where I am.
He came up fairly quick.
Yeah, I think he was 19 when he played his first Yankees game.
I just want to break your guys' heart already.
We don't have either one right.
Oh, God, you're fucking way off.
Way up.
But my favorite is like the fact that like instantly it was like, oh, there goes A-Rod. No, like A-Rod is on this fucking list. I'm sitting here laughing at you guys.
Retired before.
He's
he
like,
was 40.
oh, he's gone. And I'm like, dude,
I thought he had retired before he was
You
40.
keep a good poker face.
I was
that's
like,
for
dude,
sure.
A-Rod definitely has this. Like, because I'm sitting here going, no, because A-Rod took that time off and then he came back. And I think he retired at like 42, actually, to be
Okay.
honest. Like,
Okay.
but I was sitting here just going, oh, you're gonna say no? And I'm like, yeah, you're already but yeah, A-Rod is on this
Well,
list.
since I knew he
And then-
he started in he was still like 18 or something when he was up there.
And call me not so the other 2 of the 3, I don't know the one, just it's not a common name, but the other 2 are really big names that you guys will know once I say them.
Ted Williams.
No,
Frank Robinson.
no,
Mickey Mantle.
no.
Yeah, his career would have been
So-
over before he was 40 because he was.
What do we got?
thrown
All
the
right,
time.
so Ty Cobb,
Yep.
Okay.
Makes sense.
There you go.
and Gary Sheffield.
Yep.
Gary Sheffield.
That's
Yeah,
it.
he came up very quickly with
Yeah,
He
that's
came up
right.
with-
People
and
forget.
really played
And he played
forever,
forever,
man.
yeah.
So, and then the one I don't know,
Julio Franco.
Rusty Staub.
Oh yeah, I know Rusty
Yeah.
Staub. He played for the Blue Jays.
And the Detroit Tigers
Yeah.
briefly, actually. I think
He was
in
an outfielder.
I think in 1983.
Say the 80. Yeah, again, I'm
83 or
it's kinda-
84. Yep.
So one of my, just because it hits, and I followed this young kid, and it is not Nick Castellanos. I'm just going to give you the answer. So, but because it's a Tigers thing, and I followed this kid from the Whitecaps all the way up, okay, and he played on Team USA. So I'm going to give you that type of a thing. All right, who is the first batter to home run off a pitcher whose Cy Young Award came before the hitter was born?
Cameron Maben.
That is a factual statement, sir. Yes.
He homered off of Roger Clemens.
That's fact.
Okay.
So, yeah. Nice
Wow,
work.
isn't
Yeah.
that great?
Yeah.
I knew that.
But like
Imagine that you're Roger
Cameron-
Clemens and he hits one off you, and as
Yeah.
the circling bases, you think,
this
that
young
fucker
piece of
was-
shit, right? Like,
fucker wasn't even wrong when I broke into the league, and he just
Oh.
hit a home run
Yeah.
off of me. How dare him?
All right, well, you're looking.
no, I say I think I'm good on.
Let's
those.
go NL
We
East.
do have to go.
Okay,
Yep. NL East.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Atlanta.
I'm Atlanta.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna try the Mets, something different.
Okay.
Okay,
Mets are listed third here.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
don't choose Philly, please.
want to, but I
Not
want
that
to.
one.
The
I
Nat, the
can't.
Natties.
I say like honestly, okay, because like guys,
Marlins.
I want you to understand.
Oh,
I
Marlins.
don't like. I just again we talked about. I can't pick the Yankees. Never in my life. Like I don't bet with what these odds. Like I bet with. I hate everybody else. Like
Yeah,
they're over here the Mets, and I'm like, man, like we agree. Like Mets, whatever, 50. But like, now I'm like, oh, I want the net. But yeah, I say Atlanta's gonna do it, but I hate the Phillies so much. It's so funny because like I hate the Eagles. I hate the Phillies.
I
Like
know.
and
I'm
it's
just kinda
not,
sick
It's just Philadelphia.
it's
I know.
nowhere near the hate that I have for New York.
You know
I
the
know.
only thing I love about Philadelphia?
Philly cheesesteaks.
Rocky Balboa.
Sick.
The cream
It's
cheese.
not even real.
I'm gonna give them Philly cheesesteaks. I'm
Okay.
gonna give them
The cream cheese.
Amos Lee comes from there, which is one of my favorite.
you love him.
Yeah.
Well, they briefly, were the capital of the country.
Yeah,
at
it's
an
a-
important time, so
You know.
we might want to mention that.
And I'll give them Yingling,
Big dude.
right?
Minor detail.
Yingling.
Yingling
Like, I
beer,
say
you know.
that's all you guys got. For
Okay,
me.
but the question is, who do you think's going to win the NL East?
I say, who do I think's gonna
NL East,
win?
yep.
I'm gonna do the Braves too. I'll
Okay.
hit you guys with that.
Okay, here we go.
And
Okay.
then- oh, you know my pick on this next one.
No, we're not going to the West yet. We're going to Central.
Central.
All right.
Go Cubs, go.
I'm wearing the hat.
Yeah,
I'm
Go,
wearing the
Cubs, go.
jersey.
Go Cubs,
Cubs.
go.
I'm gonna pick Cubs.
Guess I have to. So I'm in because
It's a legitimate pick. They've got every bit of chance to win it as Milwaukee.
3 of the betting sites say the Cardinals.
really.
And the Cardinals were ass last year, and they didn't do that much to get
They
better.
were asked for except for 1 month.
Yeah.
No.
They're really good in August, and then they were bad again.
It's the one thing David
So-
like David is a Cubs fan
Yep.
and I am a Tigers fan,
Yeah.
but we both enjoy the other team
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because they're just we get to
Well,
watch
they never
them,
get
right?
to play
Like,
in anything that matters until the series.
Until the World Series.
right.
Right.
And then David and I will not watch it together. We will sit separately.
Just like
You-
we do for Lions and Bears.
Yes,
games.
we will text each other and go, God, your team's playing great, or your team's playing like shit,
Yeah.
and we'll both agree with that statement, and then go, all right.
No,
hey,
usually the
next week
text
game."
messages I get from Nick are, what the fuck are these motherfuckers doing?
And the Cubs are my National League team.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they made it to the World Series against the Tigers, it would be both a dream come true and it would be like, what am I gonna do?
Oh,
Because I
that would be
can't
a-
root-
that would be a fun one to be able to
That would-
have the money to,
Yeah.
To go to that game.
Oh,
go to the entire.
Yeah,
the whole
fuck yeah.
series.
Just say, and that's
The I-94 series,
It's literally
right?
just,
Back and
just
forth.
drive.
That would be cool.
It's funny because the Cubs are a plus 210 on 2 of the site or 1 of the sites and still listed as second.
I do think they have it right. Like
I do too.
you know,
They've made.
I think you need a new manager, but
The-
that's just on me. So
Well, I don't know. I think Kimball's going to do a great job.
Council.
Or council,
Council.
yeah.
council, yeah,
Love Craig Council
we're-
already.
We're gonna find out. I mean,
And the thing I love the most about Craig Council is the Brewers fans are so butthurt over the fact that
Oh, yeah.
they wouldn't re-sign him. Not that he left, that they wouldn't re-sign him, that they're now calling him Greg.
For what it's worth, I was listening to the score last Sunday morning.
Mhm.
And they had the BetMGM Grand gambling show on
Yeah.
at like, I think it's 10 o'clock Chicago time. So
Mhm.
it's like 11 here. So I listen to that every now and then. I'm not a gambler, but gamblers usually do know a little bit about the sport.
Little
So-
A little bit.
and their guy had his prediction was White Sox 49 wins. Or no, it was 59. I'm sorry.
Still.
Really bad. Not
That's
even
100
60. Oh,
losses.
yeah. So, but
No,
he
they're gonna
had-
do way more than that.
I agree. I think they may make it to 70 wins. Okay.
The White Sox?
Yeah.
I
think
don't.
I do.
Yeah.
I think
No,
they
I
get 70
meant
wins.
sorry, I meant way more losses.
Oh, okay.
Like,
but
oh, they're gonna do. Oh, God.
105, 106. I think,
Yeah,
for the
I
White
was-
Sox.
that's
was
pretty
really-
bad. So, but he had the Cubs at 87 wins.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's about what they're calling for, but
Yeah.
I mean, give or take 3-4 games.
Yeah, I'll give them.
And I mean, they could win the division with
87,
90 wins.
87 or 90, they would win the division with that because I don't think the Cardinals are going to be that good.
No, and the Brewers are going to take a step back. And
I think the Cardinals will be a 500 team, but no better. And I think
honestly, I think the two best teams in that division are the Cubs and the Reds.
Oh, I
The
think so.
Reds are young and strong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, people overlook them at their
very
peril.
much. So,
All right, what about the West?
Okay, the West.
you know, it's
Giants.
I have to go with my boy Mookie, right?
Yeah,
And I have to go with like the greatest, like the one thing that's gotten everybody in the world to just follow this, right? I mean, we talked about him in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
This guy,
Shohei Ohtani.
and I'm telling my wife, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about like how just this dude is a fucking athlete, okay? Like the ability that
He's the
can
best
pitch,
player in baseball.
and
of course he is. He does it
Baseball.
both.
like it is. He is fielding. He is throwing right, left hand. This kid
We
is
talked about this last year,
amazing.
and they compare him to Babe Ruth. The difference is the athletes are way fucking better now, and he's a way better pitcher than Babe Ruth
Well,
ever
and
claimed
he's
to be.
Wow.
he's a better
Better
athlete.
hitter, better
absolutely.
everything. Like
Babe
this-
Ruth drank and smoked.
That is-
He runs like 5 miles every morning.
Yes.
right, like
He really
Yeah.
couldn't do anything outside.
Yeah.
of hitting
No.
runs.
He was never a great pitcher. He just pitched.
like
Because back then,
like,
everybody did.
Yeah.
when you think of
That's
a
how the game
robot,
worked.
a guy who literally dedicates. Granted, everything's hearsay, but like when I was watching some documentary stuff or whatever, right? It was, which is weird to keep saying that I watch documentaries. That's not a fucking thing that's come out of my mouth ever in my life, right? Like, but like, I mean, this dude wakes up. I mean, okay, it goes back to we talked about it, I think, on the phone. Okay, the NBA had to change their rules and policies to get kids to go to college before you could go to the
Correct.
like Shohei is the epitome of this for base. Like 15 hours a day, this guy is working on himself, the game, things like that. When he's not, he's eating correct. He's eating like everything I'm not doing in life, but he literally has just devoted himself. And $700 million, 740 million, whatever the hell it is. Like this dude is, I mean, he devoted everything to this one thing, and he has become this robot, right? Like you could tell that. Okay, yeah, he had an interpreter friend, but they didn't hang out. Like you can go sit there, but I'm gonna work on me the whole time, right?
Yeah.
The kid that's in the bowling alley 7 days a week, 5 hours a day, type like working like this kid is just baseball and what it should be, right? Granted, not American doesn't, but like the work ethic of this human being to just devote yourself to one amazing thing and
But this-
become so effing good at what you
But
do.
here's the entire thing. Nowadays, I don't think you could see an American player put that level of work
Nobody,
into it.
right? Like we're over
It's
here,
a
like
different mindset.
It's a
here.
different mindset, and that he would be coached out of it. Sadly to say, he would, because
God, yes.
what would happen is there would be a coach when he was like 12 or 13 who would say, "Oh no, now's the point in your life. You're either going to be a pitcher or a hitter. You can't do both."
Yep.
And that kid would have said, "Yep, I'm going to do what the coach tells me to do."
Yep.
And what do I love more? And if he loved hitting more, that's it. He would have been a hitter.
Yeah,
So
and I'm gonna give full credit where credit's due. Madison Bumgarner, who dated a Madison Bumgarner one time. There was a boy and a girl. But anyway, so like
and hopefully they
the
didn't
guy,
have the same uncle.
the guy can hit, right? Like, and so he's the first one to sit here and be like, no, I don't want to get rid of pitchers. Not like
They're great hitting pitchers.
there are
Really are.
some, but like
Rick Sutcliffe was great. Kerry Wood was great.
good.
Carlos.
Like when we talk great, okay,
Carlos Zambrano.
You know who else
for a
takes his,
pitcher.
Max Scherzer took his hitting
Yes,
seriously
do
too.
you know who I think's the great hitter? Bartolo Colon, fucking home run, baby.
Right. Rick Madison was a good hitter too.
Because again, the guys that take it seriously,
They do. I think there's, I hate the DH.
I do too.
Because I think there's so much more strategy in going, all right, my pitcher's up second next inning, it's the eighth. I need to do something. We're gonna run a double switch here.
Yeah.
I think that's a great part of the game that is now
On
lost
both
forever.
sides of it. It's the 8th inning. He's only thrown 75 pitches.
Yeah.
But we're only up by 1 run. What am I
Or
going to do?
down 1 run.
Or down 1 run. What am I going to do?
Right.
It
But
adds so much to the game.
For that, sometimes you're making those decisions in the 6th inning because
Yeah.
of where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, when I look at softball translating to baseball, there's some rules in softball that I wish we could translate. Like I love the putting a runner on second base in extra innings.
Yep.
Because it just
Changes
for
the game.
one, it takes away a 19-inning ball game. Because I'm sorry, a 19-inning ball game is too fucking long.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
no,
Long.
no. If I do, like, granted, now that I'm retired, but like as a kid, my mom was so nice to us that she would let it. I mean, the Whitecaps, I remember went 19 innings one time, and like that was a great night of my life. Like
It's
I'm
great
right
when
here,
you're a kid.
Yeah.
and I also got like 1,000 foul balls because nobody else
I'm-
was at the
I'm
stadium.
46 years old. It's 11 o'clock at night.
I
I
gotta
want to
go
go to bed.
I gotta get to work
Because
tomorrow.
they stopped serving alcohol in the 7th.
Yeah.
Correct.
So by now you're
Which-
you're drying out pretty good.
It's a- right. Gosh, I never even, like, I don't know if I've watched extra innings as an adult. Like it's been, but the idea is like I just want to watch like so. My wife knows if I commit to a baseball, if we're going to the Whitecaps, we're committing to the game.
Yeah,
right.
you're not leaving early.
This isn't, and so like me, I'm sitting here like now I've gotten 2 games for 1, and I'm loving it.
Well, you know, and I looked at some of the other rules they have in softball. They're like, I love the courtesy run. So I don't have to watch my pitcher or catcher run because
Right.
they can't fucking run anyway.
We already know they can't. Right.
Right.
Even then, even if you have someone who has some speed, do you want to risk injuring them on
Correct.
bases?
Correct.
I always wondered why they couldn't have come up with a happy medium with the DH.
Yep.
Get rid of the DH, but allow for a substitute runner.
Well, see, and I love what
I
softball does. You don't have a DH, you have a designated player. So one person in your lineup just doesn't hit, and
Yep.
that other person
Yep.
hit.
hits.
But you can put that person in the field if you want.
Yeah.
You can substitute out your one fielder to hit. for
If you
the
got a catcher who
DP.
just doesn't have any real skill behind the plate,
Yeah,
that could be your designated player.
right.
Well, they've certainly instituted some real changes in the game, so we're seeing a little bit of this.
I love the bigger bases because I like steals. I want people to steal.
Yeah.
Because they need to draw people back. Right?
Yeah, they do.
By
By the way, we're in consensus that it's the Dodgers in the West.
I you say
Giants,
Giants?
Texas Giants.
I don't want, I mean, they're not gonna do it.
I mean, if
I
it was-
need to cheer against the team that's just paying to.
Literally, if it's anybody
Hey.
besides the Dodgers, I think it's the Diamondbacks. But
No, and
it's
and,
gonna be
and
the
I'll
Dodgers.
never, I can't do the Giants. I'm sorry, right? When you sweep me in the fucking World Series, my heart's broken forever, and I no longer like
Yeah,
you,
well,
right?
I know. The last time I was in St. Louis, Missouri, I admittedly went to the stadium
Yeah.
and took some neat pictures of it. But it's not like I mean, I did.
We'll go back.
Admittedly.
Both of those teams started as New York teams, and
Yeah.
then they both went to the West Coast together, so
Yeah.
that rivalry would stick.
Yep.
Correct.
Because they just hated each other.
So here's the question then: who wins the American League?
Texas.
I think whoever comes out of the West wins.
Yep. And since I picked Texas, I'll be
Yeah.
consistent.
Nick?
Houston.
Yeah, I figured you'd go with Houston.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Go on.
Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I think Baltimore comes out of the American League.
Okay.
Who comes out of the National League? Sentimental pick for me is the Cubs, but that's not who I think is gonna.
Yeah, sentimental pick is the
It's gonna
Cubs.
be-
It's
It's gonna be the Dodgers. if
yeah,
they
I
get
think
there.
so. The
If
Dodgers.
when they get there, they're gonna be there here in 80 more games. Like, let's be clear.
All-Star break.
This team is stupid.
I guess I'm going out on a limb then.
Go on.
Braves.
Ooh, really?
Okay.
Think so?
I think the Braves win it all this
Oh,
year.
no
So you've
chance.
got a Braves. Baltimore.
Orioles, World Series.
Okay. All right.
All right. Put
Let's see.
put your money on it.
I have
East
no
Coast
money.
Series.
Yeah.
You don't have free bets? Let's say.
I have no free bets right now.
East Coast Series. All right. I'm for it.
But I mean, if I did, the Orioles are at a 650 for the American League, and the Braves are at a 300. So it's not that off.
Oh,
To win it all, the Braves are plus 700. I'd throw a couple bucks on plus 700. Orioles are 14. I'd throw a couple bucks on 14.
There you go. Let's say it's
What are the Tigers? Do
The
are
Tigers,
all of them there?
yeah, they're all here. The Tigers are plus 7,000. So $20 bet will win you $14,000.
See,
I do have $20 and
And
Vegas real
$20. I mean,
The
hell,
Cubs are
14,000.
3,500. So a $20 bet will win you $700.
Yep.
Who's the lowest?
The
The
White
White
Sox at 50,000. So a $20 bet will win you 10 grand.
Probably gonna throw $20 in the fucking White Sox. 'Cause,
That's just wasted money, my friend. I would rather throw it on the Rockies, who are paying out the same thing, and the A's are also paying out the same thing.
there's something that with your $20 that you can get a good
Something
thing
back,
out of.
yeah.
Go buy a couple 6-packs of this,
Yeah.
right? At least you'll get a buzz out of it.
If you're gonna throw $20 down, Nick, throw it on the fucking Astros, you'll win $180.
Yeah.
yeah, but 180. Then I have to fly back to Vegas. But for like 10 grand, I can fly back to Vegas, collect my winnings, and well, granted, you can.
Why fly back to Vegas?
You
Just
can
do it on fucking.
I'm not downloading a fucking app. This isn't happening.
You don't have to. You just log on to the computer and do it.
Yeah.
How long you gotta do a computer?
You're right. He still needs a new fucking
I
computer.
do.
Oh,
Am I getting a 3D printer?
I'm still waiting to hear from John. By the
3
way,
days later?
we have to discuss that other thing I
I
texted
know.
to you, but
That's
we
it.
can't do on
That's fine.
the episode.
So, but I will tell, this is the first time we've done this episode after the season has started. So
Yes.
I do feel bad about this, but
I don't.
every time I go to Las Vegas, I always throw $5 on the Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I throw $5 on the Tigers to win the World Series.
Yeah.
Okay, that bet hasn't paid off for the past. I've now bowled in this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You've been pretty close this year for the
Lions.
Lions.
It's closer than you've ever been.
It's
By far.
but if I would just say win the fucking division, I'd actually do something. But no, I go gusto.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I never know. Like, I think the receipts are probably just tacked to my wall or something at home, and I'll forget that I actually put them there, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that was just, it might pay. Like, there was $1 million lottery ticket that didn't get claimed.
Yeah.
I only play lottery when it's like really, really big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've played it four
like the
times.
1.3 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 times in my life. I've
That's
probably
how I
played
am.
this.
I'm the
Just
same way.
I'm not the guy. But I never like I still have one. I think I hit Powerball. It's sitting in my car. I think I won $2 because I hit the Powerball number,
We won 16 the other day.
but I'll never turn it in, right? Like
Yeah.
I knew I wasted the $2. I'm
In
no-
your mind, you wasted that $2. It's already spent.
Yeah,
You don't need
yeah.
it back.
like yeah,
Yep.
I wish I could tell you I turned
If
these
you do it on your app, they just give you the money.
So Dave, you're just gonna get me fucking broke.
I
Like
mean,
this isn't gonna go well for both of us.
I'm a
So,
better gambler because I know I can't do that shit. So
I don't know if you're a
but-
better game. Like
I'm a better gambler in the fact that I'm not losing a shit ton of money.
Hey,
so it's funny on
I think we're better gamblers because we just don't have to do it for the first place.
Exactly. Remember the accounting memory. That's what I call it.
Yep.
The accounting memory. No matter how much money you quote unquote win, you've always lost money. So don't ever forget the losses and keep the accounting memory going
Yep.
because in accounting, credits and debits always have to equal 0.
See, and my deal is if you're giving me free bets, I'm there.
Yeah. See, I never gave my reason why I don't gamble. It is literally for me, it's like I look at all these things you can do, and I'm like, I mean, that's all just pure luck as to where it lands.
Yeah.
Poker is the only one that in any way intrigues me because it actually takes real thought.
It has skill involved in it. It's not
Yes.
purely chance, is what you're
Yes.
saying. Yep.
no, I mean
And even sports betting, I'm like, it's luck.
Yeah, because you're
It's
not
hands down luck.
you're not playing in the game. So it is purely chance from your point of view. If you were
Yeah.
playing in it, we would have a problem, like we started talking about at the beginning of the episode, to circle back around.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so look, that's one of the reasons, Mike, why I don't gamble either. Because the way my mind works, I just can't sit there and give somebody my money and wait for something to happen with it, including possibly you ain't getting it back.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I
Uh,
just can't.
this is my first year I didn't gamble on the Super Bowl. Because but I never actually gamble the way most people do. I gamble quick wins, right? I want to gamble the coin toss.
Yeah.
I want to gamble. I want to gamble how long the national anthem. Like I am a prop bet gambler. Like the
I like the prop bets, but when we get to the conference championship game,
Yeah.
I put $2 on every team.
there you go. My buddy and I.
I like that.
I
My-
do.
I'm the kind of gambler like where my buddy and I we go out and drink. If we're drinking, we're putting golf on, and we literally bet $1 like on a shot. Okay, whether it's hitting the fairway or not, right? It's $1. Like one of us has to take the opposite, right? And then he does a chip shot. Oh, it's within 10 feet of the hole, and we have a mutual agreement of like what 10 feet is. Like that, I gamble like this way. Like people don't understand. Like if I can gamble on, oh, it makes or misses the putt. Like this is what we're doing. Like, and it's $1 a piece, and boom, 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 back and forth. Like I
Well,
want,
even then, if you're
I want
watching-
instant
If
gratification.
you're
in life.
watching golf, they're going to tell you how far the putt is.
No, not well. So depending, like, not always, because like sometimes they'll just show the shot, but then they don't follow.
Well,
that-
that's true. They
that
don't
through.
necessarily follow.
So then you gotta, so we just pay the bet right there. But like, there was off-road ice skating. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's like,
No.
yeah, so that you go like down a hill, up a hill, around a corner, through whatever.
No.
And so like we just pick, hey, the guy in the pink, the guy in the blue, and we're betting on who's placing first. And we like, okay, unless he like is a guy who I didn't know loved off-road ice skating, like none of us know anything about it. We're just picking a random guy and going, yep, first. Like,
Nick, can I make a suggestion
yeah.
to you? Your notion not to get a gambling app on your phone is very, very smart.
It
You
is.
do not, under any circumstances, ever put a gambling app on your phone. Because just listening to you talk about gambling on off-road ice skating tells me, yeah, you might have a
His
problem.
eyes start twinkling.
like, so I had an app. I had an app, and when it first became popular, I had an app, and but like I don't gamble more than I could afford to lose.
Good.
But like,
You
so
better not.
I'll put $5 out there, and then it's like, oh, first play is a run. And if it's a fucking pass, I'm betting $5 more on something else. Like
Yeah.
I'm winning
'Cause you
that
gotta
money.
win that money
I'm
back.
winning that money back,
Yep.
baby.
So would you bet on the sausage races in Milwaukee or the eyeball races at the Whitecaps?
110%.
See, those are the ones I would want
That
to
is
bet
my
on.
like
Yep.
we talked about it in the last
We-
episode. Like I play mound ball.
You
Okay.
know I love mound balls.
Like,
You know Teddy Roosevelt is never going to win the president's race at the Nationals.
but I'm fucking betting $1 on it every time. Say
I love mound ball.
If I put, what would happen if I put $1 on Teddy Roosevelt in this presidential
you
election?
would on this one.
Yeah,
I think
what would
we'd
happen?
lose.
Huh?
So you'd lose like
I'd vote for him.
right.
Seriously.
We're gonna see if we can get him to win. But so I gamble on the stupidest shit. The more fun, the more fun, the better it is.
And if you're talking about things like when you're watching golf with your friend and you're doing $1, you're probably at the end, no one's probably losing more than like 10.
I would hope.
I think my most I've ever won is probably like $20. But then again, ice skating comes or competitive ice skating. What the hell is this thing?
I'm
Off road.
gonna tell you right now, Mike and I,
Usually we'll do shots or a bar tab or something like that.
Mike and I have experienced the greatest golfing betting ever.
Go on.
We would go golfing with Steve,
Yeah.
and Steve would let him, me, and Walling go against him, and we could hit best ball. And whoever lost had to buy dinner.
Yeah.
And we would always fucking lose. We would still buy dinner for all three.
Yeah.
It was the best golf betting ever.
No, you can't.
You
can't lose on a bet like that.
We are not at all. Even best ball, we just were not.
Well,
We were in intense strokes.
we went golfing together,
Yeah.
and you guys aren't bad. Like I'm a little better than both
We're,
of you,
we're
but like,
inconsistent.
but then the problem was we had the LPGA right fucking behind us, pushing us.
Oh my God, were they awful?
Yeah, and the worst part is like the guy okay, I'm completely fine with taking 6 hours and 15 minutes to complete one round of golf, and everybody's like, that's insane. But this time we were playing. The marshal comes up and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, they're just trying to get around it. Like you're doing fine." And then,
No, they do a pretty good job of making sure people
Yeah.
are keeping on top.
but like, and then they're still hitting into us. They hit into us 3 times, and I was like, "All right, like, I get it, but like, we can't let you pass because you've already been told we can't because you have to stick with your groups."
Yeah.
And it was frustrating. But I'm sitting here going, "We went out for a great day, and then it ended up
And they
raining."
were a pain in the ass.
Oh, they
we should get out again this year.
We
sometime.
should. So, David, we had the greatest day planned. The three of us, well, 2 of us took the day off. He's retired, whatever. So we were going to go play 9 holes of golf.
Yep.
And then we were going to go grab some hot dogs because who doesn't love hot dogs?
Who doesn't?
And then we were going to a Whitecaps game for free because we had free tickets.
Yeah.
And we got the golf in and we went to get the hot dogs and it started raining like crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we went to Vitale's and got a couple drinks to figure out what the fuck we were gonna do while it was raining. And my wife's texting me because she's also at the game that day with a group, and she's like, "Are you guys coming?" And we're like, "It's raining, not really at this point.
Yeah,
We're gonna
'cause
wait and
she
see."
was in an actual
Yeah,
suite.
she was in a suite, so she was nice and dry.
Yeah.
I think they played one inning of the game, so we just drank at Vitale's the entire day.
And then and then it was funny because everybody is like, "Oh, they canceled the game," and then everybody comes pouring in. We're
Yeah.
like, "We have our seats at the bar, suckers."
We've been here the whole
It's
time.
like,
Yeah.
It makes me
We-
think of when I was
no.
driving over here, I saw a billboard. So I came over here from Lansing, and about 15 miles outside of Lansing towards Grand Rapids is this little town called Portland,
Yeah.
Oh
That-
yeah.
right? And there's a billboard for a restaurant in Portland, and the tagline is "Do your Spartan tailgating here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
So
It's
Nick and I will be at a Lug Nuts game this year together.
good. When?
Why are you giving me that look? You said you were good that day.
if it's in my phone, what day is that?
Make sure it's not in
Oh,
August.
no, actually, hold on. I think it's
Early
in
August.
It's June. Lug Nuts is the 15th. I officially am
Okay.
set for that. June 15th, we will be at a Lansing Lug Nuts game.
That's a Saturday, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Star Wars night.
Let me
Yeah.
put that on
So
my
I was
calendar.
Figuring it was probably going to be Star Wars night.
Is it the 15th? It's not the Friday?
You told me it was. I have it in my phone as the 15th.
No, let me double check and make sure it's not the Friday. It was Friday last year.
Uh-oh.
Friday.
Because Mike and I went drinking with Matt.
And
Oh my God, then the Friday would be the 15th, wouldn't it?
no, it's the
Yeah,
15th is a
Is
Saturday.
it Saturday? Okay.
I'm
Yep,
It's in my
I got it.
phone
Okay.
because Flag Day is the 14th.
I am
Okay.
double checking.
Last day of school. Oh, my dog. Jeez, please. They get out early this year, May 31st. Like last year, I think it was like June 14th.
6:15.
Okay. Yep, I'm there for it.
Good.
So
All right.
it's in the phone. It's got to be true. Okay, I say everybody.
We have to be there by 5 p.m.
I don't care. We can go there.
Actually, we'll be there well
I will
earlier
be-
than that.
At a pop concert with my daughter on that night.
Why don't you guys stop by our house first?
Absolutely.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Lansing's not that big.
In
It doesn't take
Detroit,
long to
we'll
get
be at Little Caesars Arena.
Nice.
you go.
right across
Somebody
the
you
street
don't
from
know.
Comerica Park.
I mean, she's had me
Basically.
listen. Melanie Martinez is some like 25, 26-year-old.
Oh, and you're at LCA, Little Caesars Arena,
Mm-hmm.
couple blocks from the ballpark. I saw a great concert a few years ago, right across the street from the ballpark. They're at the Fillmore Theater. You'll
Who'd
be
you see?
behind the Fillmore. Band called Dream Theater.
I could see you having bands I've never heard of as on your playlist.
Progressive
'cause-
metal.
Oh, really?
I've heard of Dream
Oh, yeah.
Theater.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Progressive metal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
heavy metal with classically trained musicians.
I could see this
Very cool.
from you.
Good
but
stuff.
you
Good
know,
stuff.
I know this isn't baseball stuff.
Loud
but
and musical at the same time.
I am
Straight up.
very disappointed because I had so much great things to say to your brother.
Oh,
And like as much as I love you,
yeah.
like now that your brother and I are friends on Facebook, like you two just fucking bother me. You're like the smartest people. Like we all know, we talk about it all the time. Like I am the most uneducated person sitting straight in this room right now.
You are.
And okay, so last night I'm building a table currently, and I'm sitting there just going, man, like I could reach out to these two guys because their brains just understand. And your brother built a machine that has a turntable on it, and somebody was like,
Yeah.
well, why don't you just machine it? And he goes, no, I want to use like my hands to like get this. And I was like, this is the best answer, right? Like he doesn't want we want to build with our hands. We don't want to. We can build. We know we could. A machine could sit here and CNC anything I could ever do in my life
Yep.
and do it perfect. But no, I want to do this. And so, like, you guys, you do the greatest weird things, and I absolutely love it. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm over here fucking doing nothing with my life. These two yahoos are just going amazing at everything. So, really, kudos to you guys. You guys are really living the life. Like,
Thank you.
and I'm loving it. I love watching your journeys. And again, I know it's not baseball. We're gonna have you on for another episode
Good.
to talk about your book and your release.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about the business side of it. Absolutely. Yeah.
They say. And so
Well, thank you.
we'll do it. Like,
Okay.
dude, you wrote a fucking book. You know what I've done in my life?
Drink some beer.
You say drank beer and jerked off into a sock at least 100 times, right? Like this guy's over.
Read books when he was forced.
Let's give you some actual kudos though.
Yeah.
You are the coach of the year.
That's a fact.
Well,
That's a-
yeah, and you guys had a major accomplishment too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, come
What did you
on.
say? Yeah.
Yeah. right?
We did, but
So see, you've done a little bit more than drink beer.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Credit. Come on. That'd be good.
try to be humble here and there. But
Give yourself credit.
no, I did. Trust me, I gave myself credit for a full week, and my wife did not love the credit I gave myself
No?
for the amount of beer I drank. So,
We might have talked about that a time or two.
yeah, to say. But all right, so back to some baseball stuff. All right, I are you guys you have a game already bought the tickets for?
For the Cubs?
Well, you bought tickets for Cubs. Have you bought
Yeah.
tickets for the
No.
A's?
No.
No. And then
Why would they have to?
Yeah, you're
I
not
can
gonna have
walk
to.
up and buy them.
right for $6.
I'll probably get them on StubHub for less.
Hopefully.
Probably $6 for the seats right
To
behind.
get front row.
Yeah,
like,
right behind home
the
plate.
dugout seats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gotcha.
for $6.
Are you guys going to games this year?
Oh yeah, of course.
All right. So and then Mike.
I'm hoping to get to a couple. I
Okay.
can't guarantee much. I've already got a pretty full
Yeah.
next few months.
I do too, but I'm gonna at least get to one Tigers game and one Lugnuts game. I mean, the Lugnuts, I don't have it.
Yeah, they're right there.
And the Tigers aren't far from where I'm at.
Mhm.
They're only about an hour and a half away from me. So it's
Yeah, it's
close.
not bad. I say I my goal is always 10 Whitecaps games. I usually fall short at 2. Say, but like I love to go watch them. This year, I don't know. Our problem with Tigers is we don't have prospects that I'm looking forward to seeing very much coming through, right? We've traded away so much to get the little shit that we have, and we're still halfway on the ranking list.
Yeah.
You know, it's not great. So I wish Mr. Illich was back around to buy my victory again, because that's what I need in my life. So
Hey, we got a $30 million scoreboard.
congrats to us.
$30 million scoreboard.
Huge.
You know
Yep.
what I could do with $30 million bucks?
Get a
Retire-
catcher that can hit.
No,
Win the
Dan,
World Series if you had a catcher that can hit.
You
do you know
probably
anybody that
could.
has a catcher that can hit?
I mean, in all honesty, their
Yachty retired.
manager's a catcher that couldn't hit.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
I say I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
what $30 million buys you, by the way. But instead, we're gonna get a nice scoreboard. and-
Which our other one wasn't bad.
We'll probably win 80 games this year, and you know,
You know what?
I'm
still-
starting to get cynical. I don't want to be that way because I did predict that they would win the division. I'm still sticking to it, but it's more of a hope predict than a
Yeah.
fact predict.
My dark horse for most improved this year, or comeback player of the year, sorry, is Javi.
Yeah.
That's a dark horse.
That's a dark horse.
most
You'd
improved
be better
player.
off with
What did
Comeback player of the year.
somebody like I'm a drawing a blank, like Bryant, if he actually stayed healthy.
Yeah, but he can't stay healthy.
Well, I know.
Javi can control what he does. He just needs to stop swinging his shit over his head and in the dirt.
Yeah.
5 feet outside.
Look, if the ball's there, I'm hitting it, baby. So
The problem is it's not there.
I
and He's
know.
still swinging.
And if you hit it and you have that attitude, great. But when you swing the ball, it's up here. You don't usually hit it.
Mike and I have talked about it a million times. What made Javier Baez so great with the Cubs is he did not have to be the man.
Yeah.
That's
He
exactly
was
it.
not the man.
No.
He was
That's
a
exactly-
guy on the team. In the year they won the World Series, he hit 8.
He only had to be the man in two ways.
Yeah. And the
He
Tiger.
had to be great defensively,
Yep.
and he had to be great on the bases when he was there.
Yes.
And
that was
that's
it.
all the things he did.
Yeah. Well, with the Tigers, you're right.
He's the man. He has to be the man.
So
And that's unfortunately just not Javier Baez's game.
now.
No.
Well, we'll see what happens this year. Supposedly they worked with him very, very thoroughly in the off season to get him to stop booting ground balls. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, I love the guy. He helped bring a World Series to Chicago. I got nothing bad to say.
I don't have anything bad to say about him. I don't. I mean,
you.
I think
I don't.
I think he loves the game. He just sometimes does really dumbass shit.
I think the
He's the
I'll-
only person who could literally be near getting tagged out at first, run
All the way back home
Yeah.
home.
yeah,
and then get to second base
yeah.
with 2 outs.
The thing about Javi Baez,
An RBI
And
in the mix.
yeah, the Tigers. Here's my get out with him. If the Tigers didn't know what they were getting with him, they should have, and it's
Yeah.
their fault.
Oh, yeah.
If
hands
they
down.
thought that they were going to put him into a role he's not capable of
Yeah.
filling.
No.
100%.
So shame on the Tigers, not him.
Mhm.
That's how I look at it.
Oh, I mean, a lot of those guys from the 2016 team are the same. I think with the one that's been the best is Schwarber because he never pretended to be anything he wasn't. He was a home run hitter and not a guy that was going to hit for great average, and that's what he does now.
Yeah.
He's a home run hitter, doesn't hit for great average. I mean, Rizzo's taking a huge step back. Bryant's hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Well, even with like
So here's a fun one.
the thing with Schwarber, he just was good at not striking out. He may not
Mhm.
necessarily, hit the home run every time, but at least you knew he
was
was
gonna
going
put
to
the ball in
gonna
play.
battle.
Who do you boys think's going to win most home runs this year?
Shohei.
Really?
With that,
I have a hard time picking against Aaron Judge. I just do.
You know what? The one time I picked fucking Aaron Judge, he got his little pinky finger broken, and he cost me
Yeah,
fucking beat up.
I was
So,
just gonna say with him, although he was healthy most of last season, so
yeah.
the hard part is on that team, you're not going to be able to pitch around Shohei.
No, because what you're getting yourself into once,
They are
name
stacked.
another pitcher that's ever been anything but ninth in batting order, right? Like, it
But
is-
even that, I mean, he's not going to bat when he's pitching because he can't do it.
Well, he can't pitch this year at all.
Right.
So
Oh, but
Shohei?
yeah,
Why?
because of his elbow.
Oh,
He is only a DH this year. That's all he's got.
really?
Yep.
so, but again, with that team, you can't pitch
yeah,
around them.
I'm
No.
gonna pick him. I'll pick Otani.
I think he
Yep.
might have a shot with the fact of if all he's going to be doing is hitting, and the fact that he's going to be in a team where you cannot pitch around him and not risk putting he could break Bonds' record.
I mean, that's possible without all the steroids.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
What steroids?
If Rob Manfred can prove that he didn't have
Well,
anything to
that's
do
the
with
entire
his,
thing. That's the entire.
I think Acuna is going to step up.
I love him.
He's
He's
got
such
this.
a great ball
Yeah,
player.
he's got this.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Last good commissioner in baseball.
There wasn't one. But next question. Say,
I would still go Bud Selig.
I would not agree with that.
I would not either.
Maybe Bart Giamatti.
I would say Bart Giamatti.
that's the best
No,
we've gotten, but
probably,
it still wasn't great.
Again, none of the commissioners.
Right.
David Stern was a great commissioner,
Yeah.
but Bart Giamatti was
Yeah.
pretty fucking good.
Yeah, the thing about Bud Selig is I think that if you looked at it from a business standpoint, all the teams would say, well, our attendance went up while he was the commissioner.
Yeah, he
So-
worked for the owners.
Yep. So, okay, they're in business. Their business is people getting their butts in the seat. Good. Then that's definitely something that we would say he accomplished. My only problem with Bud Selig actually is I am a baseball purist.
Mm.
And during the Bud Selig administration is when a lot of the things started happening to baseball that upset us purists, like
Yes.
interleague play and that sort of thing. Was the sport at a professional level, Major League Baseball and the business side of it, was it in better shape after he left? Probably, actually.
I
Probably in a lot better
mind-
shape.
Interleague play when it started and was literally just to make some rival teams play against each other. Now the fact that it's like we're just going to have whoever play against whoever, it's gone a little too far.
Well, I mean, it's turned into basketball and football. You just play everybody, and
So
I don't
that's it.
necessarily care, but at the same time,
If-
I-
Honestly, at this point, 5 years in interleague play, there's no point in having the American National League left.
No, not
It really isn't, especially now that they got rid of the DH.
Yep.
If the DH was gonna stick around and they were gonna commit to having one league that was a DH league, okay, well, there would be a legitimate difference
Yep.
there between the two leagues. But with interleague play, with the rules being the same,
No,
you're-
at this point, you may as well just have everybody play everybody in the
Oh.
top, regardless of what league they're currently in, the top
yeah,
8 or 9
uh,
or whatever it is, 10 teams now, just play in the playoffs.
I hate to say it, but what the NHL did is probably what's going to happen to Major League Baseball eventually. They're going to reorganize the league into two conferences. It's going to have nothing to do with what used to be the American and National League. It's probably going to be
It'd just be
regional.
geographic.
Yeah, and
I've
that's
even seen that with some maps about doing that in the NFL.
Yep.
Which would,
yeah.
it would get rid of certain like you wouldn't have the Cowboys
Giants and
versus like,
Cowboys, yeah.
I say,
or-
the one thing I like about the NFL is the fact that like each division plays the same teams, right? Like so
Yeah.
the Packers play the exact same roster as what the Lions do as Minnesota.
For the
and-
most part.
Yeah.
There's
But-
2 games I think
Yeah.
that are different, but yeah,
separate,
like they always play. There's always another division within
Yep.
the same conference that they played that entire division, and there's always a division from
From the other
the
conference.
other conference
Yep.
that they always play.
so
And then they fill in those couple of random other games with
multiple things. So my neighbor goes to preseason baseball in Florida or Arizona every year.
Yep.
He told me he paid $150 per ticket this year to watch a couple of the games.
Fuck that.
Well,
This is preseason.
I've
baseball.
I've been to a spring training game in
But-
Florida before. It wasn't anywhere near that much money.
Well, but this is before. He said the past 2 years it's gotten more and more expensive. But to go, and he said, granted, so he went and watched, I don't remember the exact teams, but then you could go watch some for $20.
Yep.
But the ones he's like, no, I got $150 tickets. And I was like, it's just become more and more expensive. Because this is when you can get your autographs. This would and
Sports in and of itself had just become
more and more expensive.
crazy. I mean, it's part of the reason why season tickets in the NFL sucked, because they force you to buy preseason games. Nobody wants to go see that shit.
Yeah, it's practice.
I don't want.
I-
I don't
they're
want the guys
charging-
that are getting cut next
They're
week.
charging you to go
But it-
watch a
but it's-
practice.
but it's-
Basically.
Well, say it's funny you say that because that's the only times. I mean, I've watched a couple like Lions regular season, but a friend of ours owns a ticket company, right? And so then, but we'd for years always like now we can't get them because Lions are doing well, but we would always just $5 for tickets for preseason, and we'd go. And back then, like Lions would have refillable cups for you pay $14 or whatever it is for pop, and you have unlimited pop for the rest of the day. Courtney and I would split it, and yeah, we're getting 50 pops during the day. But like, and now like you try to get a preseason for the Lions, it's just insane the amount of money that they're trying to get for a preseason ticket.
Well, again, that's a lot of problem with the sports leagues nowadays, which is why I go back to Bart Giamatti was
Yep.
the last good commissioner, because once they got Faye Vincent in there, it was all about the owners and their money. You know, once they, I think Rozelle was a great commissioner for the NFL. I think Tagliabue was really good, but Goodell is all about the owners and their money. David Stern did a lot of great things for basketball, but can't even think of the guy's name. Adam Silver, I think, is all about the owners and the money. Same with the NHL, and I can't even think of that guy's name. But you look at it, and they don't make any of these games for regular people anymore that can afford to go to the games. Like, I'm a baseball fan. I would go to 40, 50 games a year if I could afford it, but I can't afford it.
Can't afford like and so I feel bad. I was texting my buddy, the Lions were doing well, and I again am the fucking jinx of things. So we're getting ready to go to the Super Bowl, and I text my buddy and I was like, all right, man, I still have an opportunity to get these tickets for 10 grand, right? The thing is $10,800. I was like, are we doing this? Right. And he, because he's the only other person I know that's willing to shell out. And I had told Courtney, I was like, I'm not like, I'm going to sit at home for the whole year. I'm going to devote this amount of money to this. Like, I made good money last year.
Yeah.
Right. And I happen to have it. Right? I'm like, this is an opportunity once in my life. Like, and to my eyes, right? Sure, it could happen more, but like, just as much as you want to go to World Series finals, right? Like, I want to go to the Super Bowl. And so, it was in Las Vegas. It's cheap for me to get there, kind of a thing. Like, hotels is, but so I'm sitting here going, $10,000 for one fucking game. That's insane. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be a thing, right? Like, don't get me wrong. If I put myself on a list to get in there, I'd be the first person. Like, if the Lions didn't make, I'd be the first person to sell it off. And heck yeah, I'm getting $10,000 for my ticket, right? But like,
I always look at it for games like that. Like, I would love to go to a Cubs World Series game,
who wouldn't?
but if I pay that kind of money and they fucking lose that game, now I'm pissed off that I spent that money. Like, I would never go to the Super Bowl. For me, football is better on TV
Oh, 100%.
because you see every fucking
Everything.
angle.
Like,
There's
it's-
nothing you miss.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, if it's an exciting game, being with the people is great. That is great.
there's something about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But
But
you realize it's not your friends.
correct, they're
Yeah,
just
Miss-
people.
Right. And you have I can't say 50-50, but you have I've gone, and granted, I'm the drinker, right? So like they have the problem. So I've gone and sat next to prudes who are like, keep it down, do this. And it's like, shut the fuck up, stand up, let's fucking go. Right.
Exactly.
And then I've also sat
Well,
next
see, and I'm
to,
not somebody that will drink at games and shit because I spend a lot of money on this fucking ticket.
right.
I'll drink a beer,
Oh,
maybe
see.
two.
Well, like, but that's why I go to the Whitecaps on like Thursdays.
Yeah,
right?
I'll drink
$3.
cheap beer at the Whitecaps. I don't give a fuck.
Yep. And so, but like,
I don't know, we didn't drink a lot at the Cubs game.
No, we had a drink,
I'll drink. Yeah.
The
it's
blue, the
the
blue,
blue margarita.
Oh, which is surprising because like every time I go to a Cubs game, which has only been a few, like you guys,
So I may have bought a beer. I think I.
I think you
You,
do.
you got to have an old style, right? Like my
No, you don't.
You don't have to.
Yes, you do. That's what I think when I go to Cubs, right? Because like again,
Well, then you go to another bar and you get the old style with the shot of Malort with it.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'll still do Malort because I'm a man and I won't show you a facial expression
thank
at
you.
all. It doesn't bother me not one bit.
Yes.
I mean, I drink Jaeger. So, but that being said, like I know when I go, I'm spent. So, and the problem with the 10,000, like again, $10,000 for a Super Bowl ticket, it was in a suite, sponsored by a company that my buddy and I gamble at like crazy, and it had unlimited alcohol. And I told my wife, I was like, for the first time ever, because again, you guys know me. If I'm spending $10,000, what am I going to try to do? Drink $10,000 worth of alcohol? Like I will get alcohol poisoning.
I mean, that did happen on the cruise.
Right. But I told like I had 57 drinks a day, right? Like that was my average. Okay. Like this isn't something I'm not proud of. Like, but like I got my money's worth of that drink package. But that being said, like I told her, I was like, I'm going to go there and probably not drink. And she's like, what? And I was like, I want to see my Lions win the Super Bowl. Like I want to remember this. I don't want to be like, oh, he's got so shit faced off for because I can do like I can get shit faced off $100 here at home, right? Like 10 grand. Now we're talking a whole different amount of money of life.
I remember going to some comedy shows with Dawn, and I would just see people get ripped.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're not remembering what the fuck went on. And I'm like, I spent $80 on this ticket. I want to know what went on. I'm not doing that. Even when I'm at home, I might get drunk watching Cubs games. There's 162 a year. I can get drunk and miss a Cubs game. That's not a big deal. I mean, we did that after the Beer and Donut Fest last year.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to a game, I want to remember that game. I don't care if I spent $2 on a ticket or I spent $200 on a ticket.
I disagree. Right, because the Whitecaps again, they'll do $2 Thursdays.
And again, minor league baseball's different.
Yeah.
Oh, very.
If I'm spending money on something that,
You're spending 3 hours to drive there.
Correct.
Yeah, you're making an event of it. Yes.
It's 15, 20, 30 minutes to a Whitecaps game. And I mean, what do they play? 120 games a year, 140 games
Yeah,
a year.
to say.
That's one thing. Okay. Like when they won the title in 06 or whatever it was, we went to a lot of games.
I
that
went to a
summer.
shit ton that time. Yeah.
And we had such a good time going, and I wasn't drinking a lot when we were there because we were enjoying the team.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to do that for a major league game. No fucking way. Even if I only spent $5 on a ticket, I'll go to the A's game this year. I might have a beer,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to get tore up at the fucking A's game, even though they're shitty. Because again, we talked about this in the beginning of the
You know, a
episode.
beer, you're describing it to be something you're like, I've never seen that beer.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy like a Bud Light.
No.
Not doing that. And I mean, we talked about it early in the episode. At a baseball game, you could see something you've never seen before.
Mhm.
Seeing it in a minor league game is still cool.
Yeah.
But seeing a no hitter in a minor league game is way different than seeing a no hitter in a major league
Oh,
game.
very much so.
I would, if I'm in a major league game and somebody hits for the cycle, let's say, and I don't remember because I was too hammered to remember, I'm going to be kind of pissed off. If it was on TV, I might not be pissed off because it was on TV and I just happened to turn the game on.
Yeah.
But even with that, I mean, we can think back to games that they just stick in your memory. Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game.
On my birthday.
I turned on in like the third or fourth inning.
Yeah.
I was
Because
at work the entire time.
I heard, I'm like, man, Kerry Wood's dealing today. And I'm like, oh, let's turn that on. And I turned it on and I watched, 6 innings or whatever of just dominant baseball.
Yeah.
And it should have been a no-hitter. It wasn't. Fine. They screwed a play up, whatever. But I'll remember that for the rest of my life, that game, because he was just dealing. The Tigers clinching the American League East in 87. Larry Herndon's home run and Frank Tanana going wire to wire. I'll remember that game for the rest of my life. That was a great game. And they came from way down that last week of the season to overtake the Blue Jays. I'll remember that stuff. I'm not, those are things that they just stick with you. And if I'm at any of those games in life, I'm not going to sit there and go, hey, let's, buy 18 Bud Lights and get fucking hammered. I could have done that at home.
Mhm.
Well, and if I'm doing 18 Bud Lights, I'll just wait, as he says, go buy it at the local bar and I'll get a bucket of beer. But you know, so I can wait 3 hours, but I'm gonna enjoy 1 or 2 during the day.
Well, again, I mean, one of us here goes to Van Andel a decent amount. Anybody want to know what a price of a beer is at Van Andel?
Last I was there was like 14.25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a beer,
That's
a
crazy.
glass of beer.
Yeah.
At not even a full major league
No, that's
level of sport.
that's at the Griffins or the Grand Rapids Gold
Oh my god.
or a concert.
A concert, anything like it is. It's not cheap, and so I usually buy them. You know,
I don't.
I wouldn't.
well, and-
No,
and-
No, for that price, not even.
No.
close.
Not worth that.
I'll say, and I don't know, I do, right? Like, but that's because I'm usually there with some friends. We're just enjoying the time, and I
I'll
understand.
do that at the bar afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like the problem is my friends. I mean, probably even you at half the time. Like you're gonna be like, we're going home, we're tired, we're done with the day. I have to get my time in at this time because then I'm just drinking alone by myself all at home. But like, you know, so
Well, I mean,
I'll-
we got done with the Griffins game.
yeah.
We went out with the year UNCS. We
Okay,
went out.
yeah.
I went out the last time a couple weeks ago when we did the Griffins game. When we're done with the Lugnuts game,
Yep.
we're going out.
Yeah.
It may only be 3 or 4 of us. I don't really give a shit.
Well, same.
Guys, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, we
Bet
should
to
probably
get
wrap
some
up
Alright,
soon because
same.
we're 2 1/4 in.
All right.
I gotta go.
He says
Almost 2.5 then. 'cause we
every
start
time-
early.
Yeah.
every
Oh,
time
yeah,
we
you're
do
right.
this- every time we do this, this guy has his parents coming in.
Yep.
And again, I'm happy for you. Go enjoy your parents because that's what life's about.
That's right.
But big shout out for me to Bud Light Platinum. Thank you so much for the beers. I've really enjoyed them.
These Kentucky beers were great. Like, I'm not a huge Kentucky fan, but they were great.
Yeah.
This is just
Yep, you're good.
junk. And the Ichabod's always good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. This-
How was your Red Bull there, my friend?
It was good. It made me have to run to the men's room, which it does because of
It-
caffeine,
that
but not quite as
absolutely
bad
does.
as the Bud Light. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
and probably I don't know, made with kind of the same stuff too. I mean, Bud Light used to be brewed with nasty shit like rice and crap like that nobody would ever put in anything they truly cared to call BEER.
True story.
But that opinion aside, the can of Red Bull tasted great. I'll probably have another one so I don't fall asleep driving back to Lansing here in a bit.
Mike, how was your A&W?
Good.
And the water was okay.
The water was awesome.
Water was
Do you
good.
have any final thoughts, baseball episode 2024?
You know, my final thought is, no matter what happens, you know, you've kind of talked me off the ledge of this whole show. Hey, let's wait to see innocent until proven guilty.
Mhm.
But I'm going to tell him he's guilty, and I
Okay.
think that this is what baseball is, and everybody's gonna like again. You don't just go missing $4 million fucking dollars and not notice it. All right,
I agree with you.
How
You
much
don't-
money does he have?
it's 700 and something. Well, so it's funny because everybody's
Again,
everybody's
this
going
is
to
a
talk.
drop in the bucket.
Everybody's going to talk about the $750 million that he just signed. We
Yeah,
forget
he doesn't have that
money.
money.
Yeah, it doesn't have all.
Not yet, but like we forget that he made a shit ton of money the past couple years before that.
Yeah.
Okay, like he's
And you don't
Close
know
to
what
$1 billion.
He's got, yeah, in like still endorsements he probably has
Yeah.
back in Japan and
I'll bet
everything.
my parting shot is on Hotani is I bet there's a lot more to this story
Mhm.
than we know right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
in the end, I hope for the game of baseball that he isn't the one
I agree.
because that's going to really, really, really damage the game in a way that
Again, only if he's betting on baseball.
oh, and my last thing, the same thing as I said last year. I think steroids should be a thing. I think I want to see the biggest, baddest beast of a person.
No.
Let's just
Have,
ruin.
have another league just for that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
And then
You're
that
talking
could be-
about Savannah
that could be-
Bananas,
that
baby.
could be-
I'm all
That could
about
be the
this.
league with the designated hitter.
Correct.
Bring back.
they should
bring
all be
back the pitcher-
designated hitters.
No, bring back the pitchers hitting.
Yes.
Here's my parting shot. Go catch a baseball game this year.
Oh
It's,
gosh,
it's a great sport.
Yep.
It's a hell of a good time.
absolutely.
If you can't afford it, find a really shitty team that you can go see
Yep.
like
and
the A's.
and you know take
Even
your
if you're
family
just
to
going
that.
Like a
Minor
league
leagues
game.
Or independent leagues are great
Yeah.
too.
If you
We have
get
the Kalamazoo Growlers down in
really
Kalamazoo. A
inexpensively.
lot of fun.
And I say Connecticut's doing the Midsummer Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, it's a 20 something weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always something around that you can go watch at least one baseball
Mhm.
game, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Catch anything.
Or if you have a local college or university that has a
Yeah.
team.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and Michigan, most towns in Michigan do,
Yeah, they
right?
Oh yeah.
We have many universities in the state. I think all the public universities in the state have a baseball team.
Yep.
You want to get
And-
into like KVCC has a,
Yep.
Yeah.
That
and you probably get into their game for like $5.
Lansing Community College
sweet.
has a very good baseball team. We have gone to the Junior College World Series now. I think I know 2 of the last like 5 seasons, and it might be 3 of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think we finished ranked 4th in the country
It's amazing.
last year.
And some of those guys are
Yep.
just, they join there when they're young and then they get into like a bigger school
Yeah.
Yeah,
for like their
absolutely.
junior and senior
Yeah.
year.
So
and
baseball,
Men, real quick,
Yep.
proud moment. So like last night we were kind of talking about baseball because I was like, hey, I have to get up butt crack of dawn to come here to this. Granted, 10 a.m. But so my wife was talking. She goes, I didn't used to love watching baseball, but when I learned the game,
Yeah.
I started to enjoy it more. So
Mhm.
my thing is like, don't force them, but like talk to them. Talk to your wives, your spouse, or women. Because my buddy, his wife is the sports person, and he is I'm going to watch Friends.
Yep.
And it's hilarious to me because how opposite they are. But so like, talk to them and teach them the game because they're gonna like they're gonna start liking it once they learn what this is about. Like once they learn that a strikeout looking isn't normal, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the things you celebrate, right? When other people get hyped, you're getting hyped because people are around you. But like, so teach people the game, love everything about it. As always, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family, because we really appreciate you guys joining us. And again, thank you so much for making the drive up here, boys.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
thank you
Great
for
to
having
see
me.
all of you again.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And we'll talk again very soon, everybody.
Yeah.
You've dialed in
To Bucks and Brews, you might hear something
you can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use
smarts of these
because
stuff.
they know the
And
brews.
they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, cause shit's not funny.
Save yourself some
Beer money, bucks,
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
brews.
and brews.
brews.
Bucks and brews.